What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. Boy, do we have a doozy of a movie to talk about today. One of the classics of American cinema, the movie that made Christian Bale a household name, American Psycho. And this one comes highly recommended by the two horror aficionados that are with me today. First of which, of course, being my hetero life mate Jeremy, of course, in full uniform as always, the cosplay king of our channel. How you doing, brother?
Not bad. I just I wish I could just figure this crossword puzzle out. Maybe what 4 downs giving me some trouble. Although I'd like to get dinner situated too. I'd just like to have a reservation somewhere. You know how it goes. I'll have my secretary talk to you.
Your really hot secretary, who's one of my celebrity crushes. And, of course, the shape from the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
Well, no woman has ever had a good personality. Like, they wear the makeup to hide the ugliness for our entertainment. I mean, it's just the way that it is. But I mean, you got to be hip to be square. Am I right? I mean, are you Paul or am I? Who's Paul? Well, I mean, who is?
I think this is Paul right here.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know because he's like 5 people. I mean, have you? Hashtag where's Paul Allen? We need to find where this guy is. I'm not sure where he's at, but yeah.
I think he went to London for a few days. I think is what I heard.
You know what? I did have dinner with him a couple of times.
No, you didn't. It's not possible.
Well, you can always call Willem Dafoe and give him your statement. But obviously, we're talking about the movie American Psycho. Let's go ahead and get into this. American Psycho is a 2000 American black comedy slasher film directed by Mary Harron, who co-wrote the screenplay with Guinevere Turner. It's based on the 1991 novel by Bret Easton Ellis. It stars Christian Bale, of course. I mean, like I said, this is the movie that made him famous. It stars Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman, a New York City investment banker who leads a double life as a serial killer. It also has Willem Dafoe, Jared Leto, one of his earlier roles, Josh Lucas, Chloë Sevigny, Samantha Mathis, Cara Seymour, Justin Theroux, and Reese Witherspoon appear in supporting roles. The film blends horror and black comedy to satire the 1980s yuppie culture and consumerism, exemplified by Bateman and his supporting cast. Now, as far as the reception of the film, let's see. It debuted at Sundance Film Festival, where it polarized audience and critics. Some praised the film for its writing and performance from Christian Bale, while others criticized it for its violent nature, but little did they know where cinema would end up going. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 68% based on 152 reviews, with an average rating of 6.3 out of 10. The consensus reads, if it falls short of the deadly satire of Bret Easton Ellis's novel, American Psycho still finds its own blend of horror and humor, thanks in part to a fittingly creepy performance by Christian Bale. Metacritic has given the film a score of 64 out of 100 based on 35 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. And on CinemaScore, the film has an average grade, believe it or not, of D on a scale of A plus to F.
That's ridiculous.
Was really odd. Usually you'll see those scores match up pretty well. Why that one is so low is kind of beyond me. But I mean, hey, maybe the people who were writing the stuff had just haven't gotten to that website to balance everything out yet. But yeah, I mean, let's get into it, guys. Let's start with the cast. Obviously, it's loaded with a whole lot of people. Again, 2 of my celebrity crushes are in here, and Samantha Mathis and Chloë Sevigny. I've always been in love with those 2, I swear. But I mean, obviously, Christian Bale carries this entire film. I mean, I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Did anybody other than Christian Bale really kind of stand out to you, or is this just Christian Bale doing what Christian Bale would end up doing for 20-something years now?
Well, I mean, also being opposite of Willem Dafoe, who I think this had to be me either right before. I mean, it was right before Spider-Man, right? So, which he would later go on to be the Green Goblin. So you're talking about, these 2 guys when they're in the room together. And if we're gonna talk about trivia, I know, the one piece of trivia about the scenes that they're in together, it's like it's meant to make you feel really uneasy because they filmed it 3 different ways. Yeah. So it's like, but to be able to make that work is kind of insane. So I mean, it seems a little unfair to say, Willem Dafoe, but also, yeah, Christian Bale. I don't know. Like, as much as we want to bag on Jared Leto, it's like I still like him in this movie, and it's the whole. I mean, I heard Tech talking a second ago. It's like, don't try to make sense of the movie. Really, just like it's meant to all feel like just a really dull, plain kind of world where like they would just mistake each other for, they all look exactly the same. They have the penchant for all over people's glasses, although I have a slightly better haircut. Shit like that. But they all play it off pretty well.
Yeah, Tex, how about you? I mean, other than Christian Bale, and we'll get to his performance. I mean, what did you think of the rest of the cast? There's a couple of names that maybe weren't huge at the time. I think Willem Dafoe has been around for a while, but I mean, there was a lot of names that were kind of on the come up when this movie came out. Did anybody other than Christian Bale kind of stand out for you as having a good performance?
Well, I hate to copy off of possibly Patrick Bateman over their homework, but it's got to be Willem Dafoe. I mean, like I said, I hate to copy off his homework, but I'm doing it. I don't care. When you watch that scene, how, the scenes where he doesn't have the notebook, he plays it like he's a complete doofus, like he doesn't know what he's doing. Then there's this quick shot of him. Oh, well, did you have dinner with Paul Allen on the 20th? Where were you? Then it's back to, oh, hey, have you heard this CD? And yes, I know it was shot differently, but the crazy in Willem Dafoe's face is so charismatic. It just beams off the screen. And it's just, I mean, you want more of him in this. I mean, besides him, the rest of the cast of guys, I mean, which it was intentionally done, they're basically, carbon copies of one another. Slick back hair, gray or black suit, black glasses, and, a Coke habit. I mean, that's pretty much the description of these guys in this film because, they just want to fit in. You don't even know who's who in this movie. I don't even think Patrick Bateman is really Patrick Bateman in this movie. That's how that plays off. If you've read the book, which I'll get into later, but this thing is a brilliant piece of art. This isn't just a slasher flick. This is an art house slasher that pleases everybody. I don't see how you could give this a D score. That's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. For one, Willem Dafoe, like I said, when this movie came out, Willem Dafoe had already he'd been around for a while. So everybody kind of knew that he was a really good actor. Now, yes, because we had seen him do things like Platoon and things like that. So we'd already seen him around in some stuff.
Right.
What else was he in? He was in Flight of the Avenger, which is another good Vietnam-era war movie. But somebody who stands out to me is Matt Ross as Lewis Carruthers, the guy who he was going to strangle in the bathroom, but he turns out that
the gay guy. Yeah.
For whatever reason, he couldn't do it. I have seen that guy in so much stuff, and he is always a fucking creep, but he's a good creep. And
he's the only one that stands out, though. He's the only redhead in the cast. Everybody else is carboned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen him play I've seen him play like one straight up role. He was in The Aviator, the movie that Leonardo DiCaprio did years ago about Howard Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember watching him that movie. I remember a couple years ago watching that movie, and I was like, I've seen him in like Big Love. I don't know if you guys watched that, the Bill Paxton show about the Mormon family. He plays his brother-in-law in that, and he's every bit the creep. I mean, from the beginning of the show to the last episode of the show, he's an absolute creep. And he plays that in this. He's played that in something else. What else did I see him in where he's kind of playing like a real? He wasn't as much of a weirdo. He was certainly kind of a creeper, but not as bad. But I mean, he is so good at playing that kind of character that makes your skin crawl. But like I said, the one time I saw him playing like a straight up guy, he was playing one of the guys who was helping Howard Hughes build the H-1 Hercules, the Spruce Goose, and he was fantastic in that role. And I always kind of thought to myself, I want to see this guy do more real acting where he's not always being that kind of like nasty, closeted pervert weirdo. But I really do love the way he kind of falls into that creepy role. I really do like it. I think it's awesome. Obviously Josh Lucas, we had him kind of in one of his earlier roles. Justin Theroux, one of his earlier roles, and Bill Sage.
Yeah,
those are the guys that play the three asshole stockbrokers, and just kind of his friends, but not friends. You know what I mean? But and also Jared Leto. I mean, I think Jared Leto's acting career was just getting going about this point. So I love Jared Leto. I absolutely do. Dallas Buyers Club. He won an Oscar for that movie for a reason. I think
right before that he was in Fight Club, right? Wasn't that like the late 90s?
It was right. I think it was right after.
It was around the same time. Yeah.
Because Fight Club came out in like '99, I think.
Yeah, 98 or 99, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And so it was just a year or two after that this movie came out. But
go.
I mean, and he was good in Fight Club as well. But I mean, I loved his version of the Joker. I'm not gonna lie. I really wish we would have seen more of it.
I did. I wanted more of him.
Yeah, but I mean, other than Christian Bale, I mean, Matt Ross is the one guy who stood out to me. But again, a cast that was just stacked full of great actors that at the time were just getting started, hadn't quite hit yet, but a lot of people that would go on to do some really great things.
This was right before Reese Witherspoon really blew up as well. This was like her big role as well. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything prior to this that she was in. I don't watch a lot of her films, but
because
I think this was first,
the Line
right?
Was after, right? Yeah.
Let me look.
Yeah, Walk the Line was like 2004, 2005. I mean, it was
Legally Blonde was also like early 2000s as well. So
well, I know big movies that she was in. She was in Cruel Intentions that came out in '99. She was in Election, which came out in '99.
Oh yeah, I forgot
she had a small role in a movie called Twilight with Susan Sarandon and Gene Hackman back in '98.
Like, not that Twilight, yeah.
So you're gonna say I'm thinking of the vampire. Yeah, no.
Something else. And her first main role was in a movie called The Man in the Moon in 1991. It looks like it was some kind of a coming of age drama.
The Jim Carrey Man in the Moon about Andy?
No, different film.
Oh, okay.
It was a coming of age drama film, is how it's described, directed by Robert.
So I don't remember her in that movie.
But let's see. Sam Waterston was in it. That's all I know. I like Sam Waterston. But and then some other stuff, and then eventually, Cruel Intentions was probably her first big movie that I remember seeing. She had a small role in Little Nicky, the Adam Sandler movie, and then American Psycho.
Oh, she was his mom, yeah.
Then American Psycho came out the same year, and then her career, and then the next year, Legally Blonde, and then
Legally Blonde
for her,
right?
Yeah. But again, just a great cast. But I mean, anchored, of course, by the fantastic work of Christian Bale. I mean, it's
still his best movie. This is I don't care what he's done in anything else. I've seen probably every big Christian Bale movie up till that Blue Eye movie that he did for Netflix about Edgar Allan Poe or whatever last year. I still say this is his best work. I don't think he's done any better.
Yeah, I was reading some of the trivia and some of the stuff about how he got the role and stuff like that, and it's vintage Christian Bale. I mean, this isn't the guy didn't kind of fall into his weird habits just because he thought they were cool. I mean, this has been he's been a deep method actor from the beginning, and this is of course the role that made him famous. I go back and look at a couple of his. I think before this, I can't exactly remember. Let me go to his credits real quick.
I don't think. Well, he's been acting since he was a kid. He was.
Oh yeah.
So
did he do the Machinist before or after this?
That was after, because it was right before Batman.
It was after.
Because it was right before.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So the first thing I remember seeing him, it was Newsies. That was back in '92. But he's got some stuff that goes back into the mid late '80s.
I know.
Kids are the ones that he did earlier when he.
Let's see, what was that? I know Christian Bale auditioned to play Robin in Batman Returns, but he didn't get the role. I do know that. But, of course, that was 91, 92. So there was, 8 to 9 year difference between that and this film. But I don't know, other than that, when he broke in. I'm not sure. I've never seen Newsies. I don't know that one.
It was a Disney movie back in the early '90s. That was kind of a musical. He did a lot of song. He did a lot of song and dance and singing and shit like that.
He was also in was it Pocahontas? He was
he did the voice. Yeah.
Yeah. He was on
the animated one.
Yes.
He was that young kid. He was that young kid on the ship. I don't remember his name.
Thomas.
Wow.
Thomas. Yeah. Okay.
But the first thing I remember seeing him in was Shaft. And that came out the same year as American Psycho. So he did a couple of pretty good. I mean, Shaft wasn't exactly a barn.
Shut your mouth.
Records, but the first one was Samuel Jackson back in 2000.
Yeah.
So we had this and Shaft come out the same year. That's the first thing I remembered seeing him in was Shaft. But I mean, after that, he did Rain of Fire, that one that he did with Matthew McConaughey with the Dragons. They did Equilibrium, and then he did The Machinist 2004 and Batman 2005, and then Off to the Races.
Then it was The Prestige, right, with Jackman.
Yeah.
So that was still after, yeah.
And he did Rescue Dawn the same year as The Prestige, which is actually a really good movie.
I was gonna say Rescue Dawn as well. I think that's after, but that's still a damn good
What
movie.
was that movie he did with Hugh Jackman where they both played magicians? I like that
Prestige.
one. Was that Prestige? Yeah, I liked that. I couldn't remember the name of it, but that was a good movie.
That's a damn good movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's only one scene in this film I think that he was not in, and that was the scene where towards the very end where his assistant finds his date book, and it kind of transitions from like his meetings to like his random crazy drawings of whatever. That's the only scene in the movie that he wasn't in. So he really does carry this entire movie from start to finish. But obviously a great cast. Carried by who would become one of the great actors of the last 30 years. But now let's get into the plot a little bit. He does play a young and wealthy New York City investment banker. This movie is based in 1987, which is not something I didn't realize when I first watched it 20-some years ago. I thought it was a modern movie for the time. I didn't realize it. But then again, it's been probably almost 30 years since I've seen this movie, to be perfectly honest. But he does play a wealthy New York investment banker. He spends most of his time dining at popular restaurants while keeping up appearances with his fiancée, Evelyn, who's played by Reese Witherspoon, in a circle of wealthy associates, most of whom he hates. Let's talk about kind of the first act. I mean, he's even before you realize that he's this murderous person, you can tell that he is he's not happy with kind of his place in life. Like he really is. I'll use this because it's kind of funny and because I think it's kind of accurate. He really is kind of like Batman. He has the alter ego of Patrick Bateman, but who he really is, his most significant existence is as this serial killer. And you can tell that he's becoming very disenfranchised and unhappy with his alter ego, the one that he can show to the public. And it kind of gets worse as the movie goes on. Tex, did you get that kind of vibe from that as you were watching the film?
Well, yeah. I mean, when this film starts out, we see his morning routine of 15 facial creams, gels, and, masks that he puts on. And then when we see him going to eat with Reese Witherspoon, he's, his inner monologue sit there and says he's on the verge of tears, not knowing if he's going to get a good table or not. For somebody that, listens to Walking on Sunshine in his earphones while he looks like he has a look on his face of like, I'm about to massacre a whole school bus full of people. That's not a well-off person. I mean, this is Joker movie pre-Joker. Like the Joker movie exists because this worked. I firmly believe that. But when when the opening of this movie is the first time you see it, it's kind of hard to take because it's kind of like watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time, oddly enough, that movie's in this movie. That you don't know what to make of it. You want to laugh at awkward times, laugh at things you shouldn't. You're going to relate to things that are going to make you think you're crazy because it plays so well. And I mean, you're dealing with a mentally unstable individual. I mean, he even says when he's laying there in that tanning bed, his mask is on the verge, or his mask of sanity is on the verge of breaking, and everything else. I mean, the dude's a nutcase, and whether he killed or not, we'll discuss later, I'm sure. But this couldn't have been played by anybody else. This is Christian Bale. You know what I mean?
Well, we can talk about some casting possibilities here towards the end of the screen.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, Jeremy, what about you? I mean, what did you think about where he was in the first act of the film as a character?
Well, it is. I mean, like you said, talking about his mask of sanity slowly slipping away, and it's obviously with his inner monologue of him doing his morning routine, you see him peeling off the face mask with that just blank stare on his face.
He looks like a snake when he's doing that right there too. I love that shot. Yeah,
which he apparently did in the first try. Like that was one good. I was like, hey, if you got that shot, keep it, because I'd imagine that'd be a nightmare trying to do that shit.
Right.
But it is giving you that setup that like something's not quite right here. Like it's a metaphor, but you also literally see him having a mask on his face. That's just a thin veiled thing that and it's like it is relatable. It's like you kind of think that like inside you feel like you might want to swing an axe at your coworker or a nail gun to the back of your secretary's head, stuff like that. but you got to keep a happy face on, and for everybody else, kind of blend into the crowd as if it were. So it's like you're trying to if you want to try to make your character relatable, or try to someone who may or may not have done these things that you like. When we're talking about Willem Dafoe, it's like you feel like, oh crap, you don't want him to get caught because you're like, somehow why am I rooting for this guy,
Right.
But it's like you kind of understand it, but yeah.
One of the things that I got from it is that he was at a turning point where he was like, is he just going to keep going, or is this as he is, or is this darkness just going to totally consume him? And that to me was kind of the biggest story of the film, was not only does it consume him, but how far down does he go before he hits bottom?
So
because
I guess
bottom can mean a lot of things. It can look like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But when you got somebody who's as mentally broken as this guy, if he hits bottom, odds are a lot of lives are going with him. And that's that was kind of what you were waiting for. It's like, when he hits bottom, exactly who all is going to go with him. What were you saying, Jay?
I was like, so I guess what you're saying is you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Oh, dude, how can you not want to see a Christian Bale Joker after seeing this movie?
Well, this could be an alternate version. I mean,
dude,
Batman totally just killed the Joker in that shot.
This could be this is an origin story for Joker. This is what this is. That scene at the at the very end. I mean, I'm not going to jump all the way to the end, but where he's talking to the lawyer, and he's in his office and he's just cracking up laughing. I mean, that's Joker. That's
one whole shot he did too.
Yes,
breaking that. Yeah, that's amazing.
That's what I'm saying. I almost wish he wasn't Batman and he was Joker. I would trade the whole Dark Knight trilogy for a Joker from Christian Bale.
I mean, you realize his last name, right? You just take one little letter out, it becomes Batman.
Right.
Batman.
It's just, I mean, and obviously, the comparisons from, hell, it's honestly kind of funny how the Dark Knight movie plays the similarities of Joker and Batman, the only thing that separates them is that one rule and everything else, right? Mm-hmm. I almost think Christopher Nolan did that intentionally this had to have come into play to it because it fits so well together. You can watch American Psycho and then go straight to The Dark Knight, and you could put a timeline together that would make sense. That's how crazy this is. Because Batman, in reality, he's just not as unhinged as Patrick Bateman is. There's really very few differences. That's what's so scary about it. I mean, it's brilliance. I mean, this should have won Academy Awards. I don't know how it didn't, but I mean, I don't get to vote, so.
You should still vote. As a matter of fact, everybody who's watching right now, don't forget to vote in the poll. I just want to know what you guys think.
Smooth.
Right.
Psycho. Did you think it was great? Did you think it was okay? Did you think it was poop? Or is your name Casey and you have no eggplant?
If you think it's poop, you're getting a chainsaw to the back. I'm telling you right now. Okay?
Yeah, so. we'll get into the cartoonishness of that scene in just a minute. But I mean,
come on, man.
I'm not gonna lie. We'll go ahead and talk about it now. I mean, let's talk about some of the kills. I mean,
my God,
this is kind of a horror movie. One of the most important parts of a good horror film is the kills, is the visuals. I mean, look, I can't really knock any of them visually. I think they were pretty awesome. I mean, I'll go to you first on this one, Jeremy. I mean, is there a kill that stands out to you as being great, or is there one that stands out to you for being not so great?
I would think my outfit would suggest which one I like the best. You can't go wrong with. I mean, because it's the build up. Because it's like you're kind of thank you. It's just kind of uneasy because you're like, what is this guy doing and why is he? He's got this thing for Huey Lewis in the News. He's got this thing for Phil Collins, Whitney Houston. Yeah. He owns more than one Whitney Houston CD apparently.
Right.
Man, I don't know. It's just that's kind of the first. I don't know. It's that may have been the one that kind of sets it off too. It's like there's some. It's like a subtle thing. It's a subtle thing.
The axe is the first kill, yeah.
But I'm saying, like there's a subtle thing.
Well, he stabs the homeless guy and kills his dog.
Oh yeah, and then oh my God, when he stops that dog, holy crap!
The woman that he crosses the street with, and then suddenly next morning he's trying to get these mysterious stains out of his bed sheets, and I'm like.
Right.
I think she died. But
it's cranberry juice.
yeah, cran apple. I didn't actually watch this movie before we did this because I've watched this movie so many times.
Oh, I love this movie.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm surprised that it even has that low of a rating because this movie is so much fun to watch. I love it. I never get tired of it. I know, never get tired of it. But I would say the axe kill because it's just like completely ridiculous, over the top. If you would have told me there was some movie of a guy hacking some dude's face off to Huey Lewis in the news, I'd tell you you're fucking crazy. But here we are,
Right.
Also, I was going to wear a raincoat, but I thought that would kind of ruin the audio, so you're welcome for that. Anytime I move, you're going to hear crinkling. So,
well, Tex, how about you? Which one of the kills stood out to you the most?
Oh, the answer is easy. This movie only further proves the thesis of the chainsaw is the ultimate murder weapon. I guess it needs gas and whatever. I don't care. But that whole scene where he's having the three-way with the blonde hooker and that workmate or whoever the brunette was.
Mm-hmm.
And the blonde's laying there watching them two do their thing, and then you start to see this big red spot start to form, and then she starts to kind of freak out, right? She sees like he's eating her and stabbing her when the blonde hooker thought they were just having sex, and she just takes off running. And then straight out of Texas Chainsaw, Patrick Bateman steps out in the hallway with the chainsaw already revved, and just and off to the races they go. And how comical, how childlike he is whenever he's watching her run, and he's like tracing her down the staircase, with his hand, he's mapping it out. Once again, much like in the opening of The Dark Knight, when those two Russian goons or whatever are trying to escape in the van, and he maps that out. I think Christopher Nolan stole that shot from here as well. But he drops the chainsaw on it. You don't really get a clear shot until the drawing at the end of the movie. But for the chainsaw to pierce her right in the middle of her back, that's just, is it comical? Is it outlandish? Yes, but it's my kill of the movie. It perfecto. I mean, it's zany, it's gory, it's everything that you want it to be.
And obviously you have to wear no clothes for all that drag resistance when you're trying to chase a hooker down.
Right. And just remember, just don't kick him in the face. That's all that matters.
Just
not the face. Shoes. Not the face, bitch. That's all that matters. All right. So, but yeah, no, that whole scene, the chick goes from making fun of him. Do you really listen to Whitney Houston, blah, blah, blah. And then
you have a Whitney Houston CD? More than one?
Okay, he says his cousin is from France, but she speaks no French, no accent, no anything. I mean, and yes, I know the woman was way out of her mind at that point in time, but you feel like you would ask that question. I mean, that's, every time I watch this movie, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. But, it's just, that kill is so gnarly. It's Christian Bale possibly at his best I've ever seen him. I mean, it's just tremendous acting.
Yeah, my favorite kill was really the one that sets the stage for the entire movie. Like you guys said, when he killed Jared Leto's character. It's one of the best parts of good horror films is it can't just be an outlandish kill. It's one thing to set somebody on fire or to smash somebody with a building or do something crazy, something just really weird that blows your mind. But it's the really visceral, realistic stuff that I think is the best part about horror films. Those are the best kills. And simply hacking somebody with an axe, that's real life. That's something that is extremely...
That's brutal.
I mean, that's brutal. It's personal. And it's not just like swinging one time. It's like he takes several hacks at this human being. And you can't... I mean, it's one thing to do something in self-defense real quick, spur of the moment, stab somebody to defend yourself. But to have that in your head to where there is a biological thing right here, and I'm going to hack it to pieces of an axe. That's a different level of insanity. That's a different level of evil. And I think that's one of the things that sets the stage for this character. It was one thing to watch him stab the homeless guy and stomp his dog to death. I mean, that was brutal. But you already you probably know what's going on in this movie coming into it. But like that axe one with Jared Leto, that was the one that they seemed to take, the first one they took a lot of time on. So you really through the course of that scene, you're taking in just how evil this guy is. The one I don't like, and this is going to make you happy, Tex, is the one with the chainsaw.
Really?
It was cartoonish. It was dumb. That's the one kill that I kind of.
I think that was done intentionally, though, and I'll present my case on that later. But I think that was done intentionally.
Because I want to talk about the end of the movie, because I'm like, I think I know where Chris is going with this. I realize it gets more and more ridiculous as it goes on.
I could do 3 hours just on theories of this alone, just by myself.
I get it, but I was just like, is he? For one, and once you get to the end of the movie, it kind of makes sense. I'm like, this guy's running around with a chainsaw, revving in the middle of the night in some high-end apartment complex, butt ass naked. I'm like, I try not to be this kind of person in movies because I'm like, they're fake. They're suspension of disbelief. Right. But at the time, I was like, come on, man, really, whatever. Wow. But the whole you know how hard it is to time what he did. Like that's literally a 1 in a million shot, and the fact that he just drops it down there and it happens to hit her in the back, by the way.
Yeah.
In an
blade
angle,
down.
I'm watching this and I'm like, if she was standing up and running and he did time it just right, it would have hit her in the head or the shoulder, not in the back and the side, but whatever.
Right.
I thought that was a little cartoonish. I thought that was a little silly, and I kind of was like, come on, really? It's like I'm gonna suspend my disbelief with the whole running around with the revving chainsaw in the middle of the night in New York. But I'm like, come on, now you're just pushing the limits a little too far, and I can't roll my eyes at it a little bit. But it was fun to see.
But see, that's the thing with this movie, though. Yes, the whole suspension of disbelief. You throw all of this out the window. You don't look for the truth in this movie because truth will not be found. We are dealing with an unreliable narrator. Let's not forget the last line of the movie. This confession has meant nothing.
My sins.
None of it matters.
Continue to elude me. Yeah.
Right. I mean, listen, I can't wait to get to that point when we get there. But yes, is the chainsaw kill extravagant, unrealistic? Yes, but it shows. I mean, she's running around an entire skyscraper, basically beating on apartment doors, and nobody answers. There's no lights on. There's no mats in front of the doors. There's no mail slot. There's no anything. I mean, when you look at that whole kill, you have to take it all into account and all into question. And this goes to the bigger picture, but I mean, what's so great about this movie is you can watch it 15 times and you'll see something you didn't see each time before. Layers upon layers. It's an amazing watch and very funny.
Yeah, overall, it's a good movie. That was the one kill that I was kind of like, really, come on, man. It's kind of silly. I
will say the worst kill is better. The worst kill is when he stomps that dog, though. I mean, even for me, as jaded as I am, whenever you don't see him stomping the dog, but you see they're shooting him from low, so you see the knee come up, and you hear the dog whimper, 2 or 3 times, and then after he just stabbed the homeless guy. I mean, once you see that, you know what kind of person you're dealing with. This is, you don't want to be this guy. You don't want to be around this guy. I mean, it's, gnarly.
Well, that's an interesting point you bring up, because I'm like, you don't really see the kills happen.
Right.
Like, you don't see him. I mean, you get the point of he stabs the homeless man. You don't see him stomp the dog. You don't see him actually connect with the axe, especially when he was hacking away at him, too. You don't see it.
You also don't see any other kills. And I don't think anybody ever calls him Patrick in this movie.
No, doesn't his lawyer call him Patrick?
No, at the end of the film, his lawyer calls him.
He didn't. Oh yeah, he called him something else. Yeah,
I can't remember. He goes by Smith, Patrick, obviously Paul. There's like 4 or 5 names he goes by in this movie, but nobody ever calls him Patrick, anything else.
I think his buddies call him Bateman.
Lewis calls him Patrick because, when he drops the card, he's like, "Patrick, you okay? You're sweating."
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's the one time that I can't think. Maybe Reese Witherspoon when she calls and leaves the voicemail. I don't know. I can't remember if she says his name or not.
She calls him Patrick in the car because she's like, "Patrick, we should do it. We should get married."
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is what I'm saying. The layers to this thing is you don't see the kills like Jeremy was saying. You get alluded to that they go right up to and then they cut away, but you still feel fulfilled like you got it all. But it's just there's so much to this movie, man. It's a mind trip.
And like I was gonna say, it's the kind of uneasy thing of him walking around his kitchen when he's got Chloë Sevigny on the couch. He just casually opens the fridge door, and there's I think that was the model's head from the.
That was the model, yeah.
Yeah, like when he's doing that, he's just walking around. He's just got a model's head in the fridge. Pulls out the sorbet, gives it to her. You know, he's got like the chainsaw, and you see the duct tape in the closet over there in the kitchen. And it's like, it's like, oh Jesus, like you don't. It's a shock that you're not ready for that to just all of a sudden be there just casually. And he just closes the door. He's like, oh yeah, do you want some sorbet?
Well. No, I mean,
but I mean, like when the hooker runs around, I'm like, where the hell were all these bodies now hanging up all of a sudden? Like, whoa, they're all like in his closet.
Well,
She's
that
like,
was his.
It's just
that was his one moment of humanity, though, when he has the secretary at his house, because you know he's like, oh well, you know, I've got a feeling that if you stay, I'm just going to hurt you.
I'm going to hurt you. Yeah.
And she's thinking emotionally. She's not thinking. I mean, she doesn't know what he does yet, as far as we know. But, you know, of course, to him, it's like, you know, I'm going to cut your head off with a chainsaw and fry you for dinner, you know, Hannibal Lecter style. But it's so many layers on this thing, man. You could do hours on this movie. It's amazing.
Yeah, let's move on to the third act now, kind of how it all wraps up. You know, Bateman gets to the ATM. He sees the cat, and it was one of those scenes where it's kind of straight out of like how you can tell your kid's going to grow up to be a serial killer is if they kill cats and stuff like that. That's kind of what that scene was looking to me. And then he looks at the ATM after putting his card in, and where I was expecting to see him having some ungodly amount of money. Part of me expected to see that he was broke. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was losing his shit. But then you see on the screen it says, "Feed me a stray cat." So as he prepares to shoot the cat, what he was going to do with it after that, I have no idea. He gets confronted by the woman and instead shoots her, which causes the police to come down on him. A small chase ensues, but he shoots one of the officers and blows up a patrol car, killing the policeman. Next, he kills the security guard and janitor before running up to his office and calling his lawyer, Harold, and frantically leaves the confession on his answering machine, claiming to have killed 20 to 40 people and eaten some of them. The following morning, Bateman visits Alan's. Yeah, the following morning is when Bateman visits Alan's apartments to clean it up, and he finds it's been vacant and for sale. And a realtor cryptically tells him the apartment does not belong to Alan before asking him to leave and not come back. This is where I'm trying to remember which one came out first. Did this come out first, or did Fight Club? I think Fight Club came out first.
Fight Club came out first, yes.
So straight up like an ending from Fight Club. And this is what usually happens in movies. Is like one kind of ending or one general plot line gets really popular, and then you see 100 different movies come out with the same kind of thing. But in something that was kind of a lot, not exactly the same, but similar to Fight Club, we start to see where the ending is a little distorted. Maybe it's not going to end quite the way you think it was. You know, what did you guys think of kind of like up to this point where he's, you know, he has that one moment where everything seems to fall apart, shoots the cop, blows up the cop car, which that in and of itself is kind of a telling scene because he kind of looks at the gun.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to mention, because like he even looks at it like, wait a minute, like something's not right. Right.
He looks down at this little Glock, and it's like, really? Like this 9mm just exploded a cop car in the air. There's no freaking way. Like,
he put the GTA cheats on for real in that scene. He got 5 stars. He was like, "Ah, shit, we got to put explosive bullets in." Boom.
Yeah, but on a text, just what did you think about the third act to the point before we see the closing scenes of the film?
Well, this ending, I mean, obviously, you know, we've just gone through the, you know, him breaking up with Reese Witherspoon, and like he's so frantic because, you know, his, you know, now ex-girlfriend is causing a scene, and that just, you know, that doesn't fit his, you know, life or whatever, you know, and the classic, I have to return some videotapes. Mm-hmm. And then we go on this, you know, next we see him, you know, going to get money out of the ATM to, you know, do what he's going to do that night, which is pick up a hooker, kill her, and do his thing. And then he's told to feed a stray cat into the ATM, so he just pulls a pistol out of his jacket and he's just going to shoot it into the ATM, and like everything's fine. And then, you know, the old lady gets it in the shoulder, which, you know, probably didn't kill her, but you know, it is what it is. And now, okay, that cop car from the opposite side of the block. Now, okay, I've never been to New York City, but I imagine there's gunshots and there's sirens pretty much all the time. to me, even him seeing that cop car stop on the other side of the block, yes, we know it's probably for him, but there's no way he could see from the other side to that cop car from a city block. There's no way. Like, am I the only one who thought that, or am I out of my mind here?
Didn't they get out and they yelled at him, like, put the gun down or something?
No, that doesn't happen. Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, he goes to the ATM, feed me the stray cat, bang, shoots the lady, and then you see the cop car on the opposite side of the block stop, and there's like I guess that building has like glass on both sides so you can see through, like the lobby or whatever. But he thinks it's automatically for him, when it may not have been. There could have been a crime going on that street for all we know. And then, of course, the chase ensues, and then he blows up 2 cop cars with a tiny little 9mm looking thing. And, he looks at like, whoa, what's this? This thing's, it's like movie magic or something. It's just, the whole thing is outlandish. He's, Christian Bale, Patrick Bateman is completely unraveled by this point. And you can't trust any of it. He runs into the first building. He runs past the guy, sitting at the table. He calls him Mr. Smith.
Yeah. Burning the
Who's Mr. Smith? Who's Mr. Smith? We've yet to see a Mr. Smith. So once again, just adds to the theory of, who is this? Is Patrick Bateman even real? Is he Paul Allen? Is Jared Leto even Paul Allen? We don't know who anybody is. Even his own attorney, which that's another topic we'll get into in a little bit. We don't know who this guy is. He doesn't know who he is. Nobody knows who they are because they all just want to conform and fit in. And then he runs to his office and he confesses to, the lawyer, oh, I killed between 20 and 40. And I just laughingly doing so. I killed so many people tonight. Like he just won the World Series or something. And the thing is, it's beautiful the way that it's shot. It's just, you can't believe any of it. Take it for what it's worth kind of thing.
Yeah, Jeremy, what about you? What did you think about up till we get to the closing scenes, which we'll talk about in a second? What did you think most of the third act?
Well, actually, I would say the third act has the goofiest, dumbest kill. Like, you don't go around a turn thing and then go right back and shoot the fucking janitor and come right back out.
The janitor kill, yeah. That makes me laugh every time. That makes me laugh.
That kind of fits into the chaos of who he is.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm like, he was leaving. He comes right back around, boom, shoots him and shoots the janitor for no reason, and comes right and goes right back through the door. Like, what the hell?
Right.
But it is, I think, where his mind really, I think it's supposed to be his mind really unraveling at this point. Because, you don't expect an ATM to tell you to feed a stray cat that you just happen to have walk up on you, Now, I don't know what, I assume that was like a Glock. And I assume it was a 9mm, but I'm like, man.
It looks like a 9, yeah.
But I'm also like, I know it's double stacked, so probably like 15 rounds in there. And I'm like, I didn't count, but I'm like, how many times did he shoot? Because that may also
probably be I wouldn't say 15, probably 11.
Okay.
I've got a 9 about that size that's 11 and 1. So it's not too bad.
So I'm thinking like a Beretta is like 15. Some of those you can like double stack and get, So I was wondering if that was just like, I never really counted how many times he shot, but
I don't think it matters in this movie.
No, but that's what I mean. Is like when he goes up to one check-in desk, and then you see him put his hand in the coat, and he's like, "Wait, I even got it right here." He just pulls out a pen. I'm like, "You motherfucker! I thought he was going to shoot him." You know what I mean? Makes you feel really uneasy. And I was going to mention that too with him looking at the gun after he blew up the cop car. Is kind of just like even he's now in disbelief of like, "Wait a minute, what the hell? That doesn't happen." I got echoes of Willem Dafoe from Boondock Saints going, that James Bond shit doesn't happen in real life. And then like him going up to his office and trying to hide from the helicopters, and then, like in one long shot, he just goes through all these emotions from like Texas. Like he's laughing about like, oh my god, I killed like 20, 30 people. I just had to kill a lot of people tonight. And he just goes into this like crazed like sobbing where he's like, I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna get away with it this time. And then like it's almost like he snaps right back for a second, so because then he's like, so if you see me tomorrow, I'll see you at the bar, so keep your eyes open. I'm like, what? I mean, he's trying to process this too, and so are we. We're trying to catch our breath from what the hell just happened. So I think if you want to take it that way, that's just reality or just his own mind kind of just exploding into. I think he's having an actual breakdown. That's what that was representing. You know.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the whole movie's a breakdown, even when he's laying in that tanning bed in the beginning, when he talks about this mask of sanity. I mean,
it's slowly it's building. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I started, you know, when at the start of this movie, he says he's almost literally in tears when he doesn't think he'll have a good table at the restaurant. I mean, come on now. I mean, you've got the world by the short and curlies here. A table's going to break you down. I mean, this dude's not okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't Dorcia. That's the important part.
You know, God help you if you have to go to Texarkana. You know, that's just not acceptable.
Yeah,
so
nobody goes there anymore.
Right, nobody goes there. No.
Yeah, but
take another Xanax, it'll be fine. Man.
Yeah, after he finally has his full-on psychological break, in the state of hysteria, he calls Gene, his assistant. Then he goes to meet with his colleagues for lunch. Meanwhile, his horrified assistant, Gene, finds his very detailed, very graphic drawings of murder and mutilation in his office journal. I have a better picture of her. There she is right there.
Yeah.
But
that's a good shot. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm just staring at her like
journal,
that.
Yeah, Bateman then sees Carnes and mentions the phone message. Carnes mistakes Bateman for another man again and laughs off the confession as a joke. Bateman finally just clarifies who he is and says, and again confesses for the murders. But Carnes says his claims are impossible since he recently had dinner with Alan in London, throwing further into question whether what we've seen is reality or kind of fever dream. And exhausted and uncertain, Bateman returns to his friends. They discuss kind of the usual shit from the beginning of the film. They discuss dinner reservations and views about whether then President Ronald Reagan is a harmless old man or a hidden psychopath, which is kind of funny.
Right.
All right.
Bateman, unsure if his crimes are real or imaginary, realizes he will never receive the punishment he desires. His narration declares that he is in constant pain, and he wishes his pain inflicted on others, and that his confession has meant nothing, and that's where the movie abruptly ends, kind of leaving you to wonder, kind of in a daze as to what was real and what wasn't, trying to figure it all out. I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think of just the final few minutes of the movie and him just kind of being there where he kind of began after this whole crazy ride?
Well, and something else that the lawyer says is he's like, come on. He's like, Bateman's such a loser. I'm like, and he's just like,
right.
What? Like, that's the thing. It will still mind fuck you that you're like, is he Patrick Bateman or not? Because even if he is, like, that's the thing.
I don't think he is. I honestly don't.
Because that's still the joke that, like, even the lawyer doesn't even know who, like, half these guys probably are. They look and dress the same. They're all just the same, stiffs in a suit. Just got this job at, murders and accusations mergers and acquisitions. Pearson. Most guys don't like it, I hear.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because like even if he is and he's trying to tell him for real, it's like he just doesn't believe him. It's just, man, and yeah, that's the thing, is that's why this movie it's really rewatchable, because like the more you try to put like Tex was saying, you might see something different each time, or you might think of a different angle and you watch the movie again with that in mind and you think, no, it doesn't work, or oh yeah, that makes sense. This makes sense when he does, or he tries to return some videotapes and just doesn't, I don't know. Just casually trying to get a dinner reservation while watching some casual adult films, or doing crunches to Texas Chainsaw, weird shit like that. I don't. Those are some red flags.
I did think it was funny that he was just handling business while in the background there's just porn playing, and I'm like, who the hell does porn for background noise? But I guess the psycho guy just puts on a porn for background noise.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's just him sinking back into his chair, like just kind of back into the shadows, like, just like, son of a bitch, like that. That's the weird thing, is he's like, even if I did do this, it's like it just doesn't seem to matter. I don't know. It's a movie that'll keep you thinking, and like I said, it's very rewatchable. So I don't know, maybe. Well, I guess if anyone hasn't seen it, I'm surprised Tex hasn't seen it. Go to YouTube and watch the parody that Huey Lewis himself and Weird Al.
No, I watched it. I found it. Yeah.
Well, no, did you say you had watched it before I mentioned it though?
Yeah, no, not until after you said something, but I went and found it right after that. Yeah.
I was surprised you hadn't seen it yet. Like,
oh yeah, no, I didn't know it existed. Yeah.
Oh man, like go and watch that. That is so funny because it's instead of him asking him if he likes Huey Lewis in the News, he asked him if he likes American Psycho. And it's a good kind of like what we just talked about. It's like initially it was kind of polarizing to people, and they didn't really get its footing until it came out on DVD, and then it received a cult following. I'm like, that's maybe I think what it is. The more this movie sits, the more people watch it over time, it might start to kind of have more, it might become more interesting to people. I don't know. Maybe I'm a psychopath because I watch this movie probably more constantly than people probably normally would.
I laugh at this movie. I don't know what that says about me, but whenever he's telling jokes about Ted Bundy and Ed Gein, every time I know the joke is coming. I know what he's going to say, and I still laugh every time. That is my sense of humor. I mean, Ed Gein talking about, how women look beautiful with their head on a stick.
On a head on a stick.
The way he tells it is hilarious. It's just, this is one of those films that it asks a lot of questions and it measures your own psyche. It's, if you ever want to see if somebody's a horror fan, show them this. And see how they react. Show them this. Show them Chainsaw. There's a short list of standards that you can, put in front of them and gauge a reaction. But I don't
really
think
what you do is you ask them if they know who they knew Ted Bundy's dog was named Lassie, and they just go, "Who's Ted Bundy?" Like, all right, you're out. Get out.
Well,
I love his face is dropping. Like, never mind.
I do. I do have a quick question though. Do y'all think do you think his secretary he was truly in love with, and B, was that a physical representation of his conscience? Because I do.
I feel like out of everybody, maybe she could have been the only person that he genuinely maybe had a connection with, and I even hate to say he didn't even have a connection to Evelyn, like his
no. Oh God, no.
Like he just didn't, So I feel like the only person who was with him that often was Jean, who could really, I don't think he actually wanted to hurt her because he even did kind of stop, and I know he kind of got saved by the bell when Evelyn called him, but. That's the only time we saw him go like, I don't want to hurt you.
Well, he knows Evelyn is having an affair and he's sleeping with the woman of the guy that she's having an affair with. He doesn't care about Evelyn. Evelyn is nothing but, this is who society tells him to be with. Ass. Right. It's just, I think the secretary was the physical embodiment of love and all things good in this world for him.
Yeah.
Also, I think Gene was like the one normal person in his life because, like, all the people he hangs out with, all the chicks that he's hanging around, they're all part of that scene that he really despises. So it's like the only difference between the girls that he's knocking around in this movie and the guys that he's hanging out with, he's not really friends with, is that they have tits and the other guys don't. So it's like they're all part of the same circle of assholes. So he doesn't really see them as different from the guys. He sleeps with them or whatever, but he just sees them as part of that set he doesn't really like. Whereas Jean is the one she's the normal one. She's the one that doesn't wear, $500, $600, $700 outfit. She's the one that doesn't want to eat fucking sardines. Or the whole name of the restaurant is. I'm drawing a blank of the name.
Dorcia.
Was it?
Dorcia, yeah.
Dorcia.
Yeah, she's the one that doesn't want to eat a Dorcia. She's perfectly fine with whatever. So when at the end of the movie he says, "Where do you want to go to dinner?" She goes, "Well, let's go to this one place because you're always talking about how great it is. I'm never going to be able to eat there on my own, so I want to try this out." I think then he kind of realizes that she's the kind of one not corrupted thing in his life that he actually enjoys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when he asks, it's the normal conversation of like, "Where do you want to eat?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know. I couldn't decide. Like, just anywhere you want to go." Although one time he did stop her and say like, "Hey, don't wear that outfit again. Like, wear something like high heels, wear something."
I like high heels. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, "Is something wrong with my outfit?" And he doesn't even insult her. He just kind of goes, "Come on, you're pretty."
Well, that's what I'm saying. She's his he wants her to be the ideal version of woman It's kind of how I take their relationship. I mean, she's all things good and holy to the world to him. Everything else is Xanaxed out cokeheads or hookers. I mean, people who don't even know who each other is, kind of like Frank was saying. And it's just, for her, she's so simple. I mean, beautiful woman. I mean, gorgeous. But she has that homely kind of humble personality that I think kind of takes him out of his element, and that's what intrigues him so much to an extent. Innocence is a good word. Yeah, it's a very good term for it. But it's just, I think her looking at that book at the end of the film, I almost kind of feel like Patrick Bateman or whoever he is purposefully left it there for her to find, because that's kind of his admittance of guilt, kind of clearing of conscience in a way. Because as she's looking at that, then we go to him at the end of the movie, and he's saying all of the things, and this confession means nothing. It's like he's clean, he's clear. He's still in pain, but it's all off of his shoulders now. It's weird the way it plays out.
I feel like that scene when she goes into his office and looks and finds the address book or planner or whatever the hell it was. I feel like that genuinely happened, because she did seem distraught.
That happened, yes. Yes, I believe that.
The more she flipped through it, and she was just getting like, she had no idea, or she thought like, oh, what the. I feel like even if he didn't do any of this, if he wasn't who he said he was, I think this is just like, these things didn't happen, but this is how he imagined it. And we're seeing what's going on in his mind. Like, oh, I don't think he really was banging, two hookers at the same time and chased one of them with a chainsaw. Right. But like he had like thoughts of it. I think he's just very mentally unstable, just being in this weird corporate greed of a world, and that's just where his mind is. And she's just like, oh shit, I had no fucking idea.
I don't think he kills anybody in this movie. Now, if you've read the book, it's made very clear he doesn't kill anybody. It's all imagined in his head. This is where the book is actually much darker than the film is. Surprisingly, it's
worse.
I read it years ago, but I would actually recommend going to read it. But it's very clearly laid out that he didn't actually do these things, and I think the way the film was made, it's made to portray that he did. But for me, there's a couple giveaways. Number one, in the beginning of the film, when he, allegedly kills Paul Allen, and he's literally dragging that body bag, and there's a blood trail in the lobby. The guy sitting there looks up, sees it, and just looks back down. He's like, he drags it out into the city street. Two of his friends walk by, see him throwing it, and all they're worried about is that couture or not.
Jean Paul Gaultier.
There's so many that the realtor. I don't think she's. You can make a case that she's working with the attorney, and she just wants to sell the apartment because she's just as greedy as they are. I don't think that's the case, though. I think that's going a little bit too conspiratorial. Even though the language that she uses about did you see it in the metro? Oh, well, it wasn't placed in the metro. Don't come back here. I think she's saying those things because she is as scared of him as he is as scared in that moment, but she's just portraying it differently. I don't think she's trying to cover up murders or hide bodies. I mean, is he rich enough to afford Paul Allen's entire building? I don't think so.
Apparently not, because when he gets there, he's like, I have a wave of shock when I realize his apartment's more expensive than mine.
Right. I mean, not just that, but, one of the other theories is that Patrick Bateman killed everybody in that building, and that's why it's empty, which I don't buy that either. That's too far. I don't buy that. Well, the theories of this movie are deep, man. It can go forever.
I was going to say, maybe blurring the lines a little bit is like when he does go into the apartment and tries to cover up that Alan just took a trip. Like he takes some bags and a couple of suits, goes on his answering machine, because they even mentioned that the lawyer says like, oh, I heard on his answering machine, like, oh, he left for London or something. And I'm like, maybe he thought he did that, but he really didn't. Like maybe Paul Allen actually did leave a message to say, hey, I'm going to go to London for a few days. See ya,
Well, nobody even knows who Paul Allen is, because in the beginning of the film, whenever Patrick Bateman and his friends are sitting there at dinner, Patrick says, "Oh no, Paul's over in the corner," and it's not even Jared Leto; it's somebody else.
True.
You know what I'm saying? We don't know who Paul Allen is. We don't know who Patrick Bateman is. We don't know who anybody is for sure, because the names literally don't matter in this. This is the you can't trust the narrator for as far as you can throw him kind of thing. But it's so compelling of a story. Like Jeremy, I'll watch this movie regularly because it's a jigsaw puzzle. It's got layers to it.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's worth rewatching multiple times, even just to enjoy it, or just try to.
Dude, this is one of those movies you can go down a YouTube rabbit hole for hours on this thing, and the one thing that I love and hate about this movie is every time I watch it, my theory changes just a little bit because I see something else.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, maybe this will work, and you're like, ah, damn it doesn't work for that scene.
I think I got it figured out, and then I'll watch it again. I'm like, wait a minute. This doesn't fit. I got to go back and rework a couple things.
You know what makes it? You know what makes it even worse? Speaking of DC people, I forgot to even mention this to you. Did you know that Margot Robbie redid this whole morning routine scene that he did in the beginning of the movie? Like, she did her own version of it.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, it's like Margot Robbie doing the thing as herself, but going through the same.
I would watch her read the phone book, and it'd just be.
I know.
She could do anything,
You got Harley Quinn doing Patrick Bateman's morning routine. It's kind of funny. So
right.
Another parody that's worth watching. Trust me, watch.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Jeremy. Do you think he killed, or do you think? I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I'm curious.
Yeah, because I've tried so many times. I've watched this movie.
Right, it's not easy.
It's not. Man. I mean, yeah, and I don't want to, I'm trying to separate, I'm trying to be that person, separate the book from the movie, because I know there are people.
Oh, yeah, no, you have to. You can't, yeah, no, you have to separate.
You all goddamn day. They're called Harry Potter.
Right.
The books are better. Shut up. I didn't ask you.
Right.
Different medium. In terms of the movie, it's like, I would even still say I don't think he actually killed anybody, because now am I trying to figure out the web of like who is who and who knows who each other is? I have no goddamn clue. Don't ask me.
Oh, that's a whole different conversation. That's a whole other thing.
But that's one facet of it that I'm like, I think that's kind of the point, is that it's not meant to make sense. But that's my theory, is I don't think he killed anybody. I think this might just be his psyche just breaking. And this is like, it's intrusive thoughts. That's what I was trying to. It's like, it's really intrusive thoughts that you're like, oh, I'm going to just, I don't know how this New York, whatever the hell he does, I don't know, some stuffy banker job is going to go.
Dude, he doesn't have anything in his desk. Whenever the secretary at the end of the film goes to check his stuff, the one drawer has a couple empty folders and then his daily, planner thing, and that's the only thing that has any information in it. The drawer on the other side, that's where he kept his Walkman and magazine that he had.
And also, like,
he doesn't.
You don't
do anything.
You don't see him do any work. He's just usually sitting there. He's watching Jeopardy, or he's listening to Lady in Red.
Well, that's what plays into that. He's not even Patrick Bateman thing, because obviously Patrick Bateman is the son of the owner of this business. He's going to have something to do. This guy, he could have just walked in off of the street, played the part, and fit in, and now he works here. It's. Right. Literally, I mean, he's doing the George Costanza thing. He's just going to hang out till they fire him. I mean, it's,
Or, what's his damn name in Office Space? They fired him 2 years ago, but they never told him.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think this guy, I don't think he's playing Patrick Bateman. I mean, at least for this movie version. Like I said, book, totally separate thing. But I don't know, dude. This is, the more you talk about it, the more it makes you want to go back and watch it to find another clue,
I think that all the clues in the movie anyway, I don't know about the book, but all the clues in the movie are saying to me that he actually didn't kill anyone. That he's probably on the verge of madness because he hates his life, and it's probably one of those things. Have you ever been at work or someplace and somebody who's just getting on your damn nerves? So you think to yourself, God, I wonder. And you just like close your eyes, you imagine what would it be like if I just walk up and slap the piss out of this person right now, and you just kind of like in your mind's eye, you're kind of like daydreaming for half a second, like of you actually walking up there and putting that open hand right up against someone's fucking face. I think that's kind of what this whole movie was. And I think at one point that the idea of it is that he was so frustrated with his lot in life that he kind of lost track where that boundary was between his imagination and his real life. So he's probably in all these situations as the movie goes on, but I think what we're seeing in the movie is not what he actually did. It's what he imagined himself doing because he was just frustrated with his place in life. You know what I mean? So, and I think some of the bits of evidence are like when he goes back to the apartment and he finds out that nobody actually lived there, that the reeler is showing to other people. I think that's the biggest piece of evidence that none of this shit happened. Because you got to figure, if there's anything saying that one of these things didn't happen, then you have to imagine that all of it didn't happen. And I think that's why that scene is so important as kind of an indication as to whether this stuff was real or not, was because it says very, very clearly that did not happen. Stuff did not happen in that apartment. The bodies of the girls were not actually hanging on coat hangers in the closet. So you can imagine to yourself that there's no other conceivable outcome to say that one or two of the other things were real, but that this one wasn't. So that's why I think that it was probably all in his mind. And as he's sitting down at the table at the end of the movie, he's kind of coming to the realization, and he's realizing just how broken he is. Because at that point, he's like, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. So while he's sitting there not understanding what the fuck is going on in his own head, the other guys around him are still just doing the things that they've been doing the whole movie. They're just being yuppie pieces of shit. I think that's kind of what I got out of it. I don't know. Tex, what do you think?
I think you're right. I think he's projecting all of these things of what he wants to do, what he would do, given the ability. I mean, even when he's breaking up with Evelyn at the end of the film, he's drawing the chainsaw kill on the table. I can't ever tell if that's a tablecloth or if that's like a kid's menu or whatever he's drawing on. I don't know.
Well, the restaurant was called Crayons. I think that was the gimmick. Is like they gave them stuff to draw on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Either way, like I said, he's drawing that. He doesn't seem like a guy who's a stupid criminal. So for you to just be sitting there in public to draw, this guy had reservations at noon at table 3, and this guy's also under police investigation, and he drew how this chick got. Yeah, I don't think that kill happened. I don't think he killed anybody. He may have, obviously he wanted to, but it doesn't fit. It's so outlandish. It's so far, and the fact that you don't even really see. I mean, even at the end of the film, whenever he's with the blonde hooker and the other chick, that he dosed their wine bottle, you don't even see him stabbing her. You just see the blood through the sheet. You don't see any of these things. You don't see the model get her head chopped off and him cut her hair. You don't see any of these things. So I don't trust any of it.
Even when he's sitting there with when he was talking about he's talking with the model at the club, and then it cuts to him in his office doing the crossword puzzle. He's sitting there playing with a lock of hair. I'm like, okay,
right.
What?
Well, he's a narcissist. Again. I mean, think about it. The police detective who comes in, all shucks until he pulls out a notepad, and then he talks like he's out of Dragnet, and then he goes from, you're not a suspect. Oh, well, where were you on the night of the 20th? And then he pulls out a Huey Lewis CD. I mean, I don't know how many times y'all been interrogated by police, but anytime I've ever had to talk to one, they've never asked me what music I liked. So that's never happened in my time on this world. But it just doesn't fit. I mean, it's an amazing story. It was directed incredibly. The woman that made this did an awesome job. But it just doesn't work for me.
It's kind of hilarious that a woman made this movie too. When you think about it, how
you would have had to, dude. If they had a man make this movie, they would have crucified him. You would have had to have a woman director make this film.
Actually, a lot of women's groups did come out against this movie. I think was it Gloria Steinem or Albrecht kind of came out publicly against this movie and were kind of shitty about it in the public from what I've read.
I'm sure. I mean, this was,
Gloria Albrecht.
Oh God, don't even get me started. Yeah, she's whatever. But I don't know. This movie it's a trippy mind, like it's kind of like a mind warp kind of thing because you get sucked into it. I mean, this guy's a narcissist. He's a schizophrenic. You see yourself in this guy a lot. He's likable, but he's basically the devil. And it just, if you haven't seen this film, go watch it. Even with us spoiling it for y'all, if you haven't seen it, go watch this movie. As soon as we get done here, it's on Tubi, it's on Amazon Prime, it's free, or it's free on Tubi for 2 more days after this. Yeah. But go watch this movie. It's a couple hours. It's worth the watch, and I promise you'll want to rewatch it. It's a mind fuck.
The problem is I actually have the DVD version, which is the uncut director's version. So I'm like, really, I've got even more shit in mine. But it's worth watching it like that. Trust me.
Well, also one of the great things about this movie is it's one of those weird psychological trips that kind of leaves it open to interpretation. So it's like, I'm going to give you a bunch of this crazy shit, but there's really a lot of different ways to interpret it. It's like Tex asked the question, did he actually kill these people or not? Well, that's up to you to figure out. It's like it's almost like a choose your own ending. It's like you can choose to believe that he actually killed all these people. And there's evidence to say that you're probably right, but you can choose to believe it was all in his mind. And there's also an equal amount of evidence to say that you're also right. So that's one of the cool things about movies like this is that it leaves you walk out of the theater and you're still trying to finish up the ending on your own a little bit. You know what I mean? Which works for some movies, but not others.
This one did it right.
It's not bad, but let's get into a little bit of the trivia now. I mean, obviously, let's get the bad part trivia out of the way now. You guys know there was a sequel to this, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
No.
Yes, I've seen it.
No, there wasn't.
Well, okay. I won't spoil anything. How they do Patrick Bateman maybe in the beginning of that film is a crime.
That's because it's actually not
It's not a bad movie if you take that out of it.
Well, yeah, if you change the fucking title to say American Psycho 2, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's all I got going for.
I mean, Mila Kunis, she's, basically a college girl that wants to be an FBI agent, and she's just as crazy as Patrick Bateman. But they connect to this one just for the street cred, but it has nothing to do with it. Like it's one of those kind of things. But yeah, no, I've seen it.
I'll give you a brief rundown of the thing real quick. It's a direct-to-video sequel, of course. It didn't even go to the theater. It was directed by Morgan J. Freeman, not Morgan Freeman, right. Starring Mia Kunis. Was released in 2002. The sequel's only connection with the original is the death of Patrick Bateman, played in this film by Michael Kremko, who was wearing a face mask. It was briefly shown in a flashback. The film was denounced by the American Psycho author Bret Easton Ellis, and in 2005, Mia Kunis herself expressed embarrassment over the film and spoke out against the idea of a sequel. I don't know. Tex, it seems like that even the star of this movie kind of agrees with you. What do you think?
No, I completely understand. Is it a good movie? No, but I found this movie, I forget what streaming service it was on. It was one of those free ones. I'm like, ooh, American Psycho 2. Okay, I'll check it out. It's not good, but it's worth a watch once. I'll say that. If you like psychological kinds of things, it's not going to win any award, but it's not a bad. It's kind of fun in a way. I don't know. But then again, I like bad, cheesy B movies. So, take that for what you will.
Yeah, another small piece of trivia is the character of Patrick Bateman. He actually mistakenly quotes Ed Gein. It was actually Ed Kemper who said, when I see a pretty girl walking down the street, I think two things. One part of me wants to take her out, talk to her, and be real nice and sweet and treat her right. The other part wonders what her head would look like on a stick. That has actually led to a lot of people mistakenly attributing that quote to Ed Gein when it was actually Ed Kemper. I don't know, Jay. What do you think? Do you even know who said that? Because I didn't know about it until the movie.
I didn't know that, but I mean, I could believe he said that. I don't know. I didn't know that, but I mean, it's a good line for Patrick Bateman because then he just starts he maniacally laughs a little bit when he says like, "What are him would look like on a stack?" and starts laughing. Like, dude, calm down. Maybe Patrick Bateman said it. Whoever the hell that guy is, I don't know.
Ed Gein, he never cut anybody's head. He only killed like 3 or 4 women. He was more into the necrophilia, not sexually,
grave
but
robbing and shit.
He was grave robbing. He got his mother's skin. He made a belt out of nipples.
Yeah, he did.
So that's fun, you know. I love true crime. True crime podcasts and shows are some of my favorite stuff. But I'm surprised that they didn't throw more actual true crime. I'm really surprised there wasn't like a Charles Manson or a Tex Watson line, or something that he used in this film. But
also, I mean, whatever. Did Ted Bundy really have a dog named Lassie? I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he did.
I don't know, man. Like,
I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure he did.
I mean, we know Jeffrey Dahmer is a fan of The Exorcist, so I mean, I'm fine.
Oh yeah, he said it was the funniest movie he ever saw. Which in a way he's kind of right when you actually look at it, but
Beetlejuice thought The Exorcist was funny every time he watched it too. So
right.
True. Getting into some of the trivia from IMDb, you talked earlier about the health skincare regimen. During production, Christian Bale followed the morning routine that his character Patrick Bateman describes towards the beginning of the film. On point every morning for the entire duration of the filming. Jeremy, does it figures, right?
I love method actors. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Tex, do you practice the same skincare regimen?
If you saw the amount of beauty creams I have in my shower right now, the number is 0. So no, I don't. I mean, I'm the guy that doesn't, clip his toenails till they start poking through the sock. So I don't think he would approve of my beauty routine, as he would say. So.
Yeah, speaking about the method acting of Christian Bale, let's see. During the big chainsaw scene, Christian Bale would happily and quite literally hang out between takes wearing nothing but a sock over his penis and sneakers. Hey, man. That makes perfect sense. I mean, Tex, does this shock you at all?
If you're that naked, why even wear the cock sock? Just let it all hang out. Why even go to the trouble? I mean, I don't understand that. I don't know. Whatever. I think it's weird. It would honestly I feel like it would draw more attention wearing the cock sock than not wearing it. Because, once they see your dick, what are they going to stare forever? It's a dick, whatever. But I don't know. What you got to do.
I mean, look, it's a closed set. You may as well go ahead and just walk around with your thing swinging. You know what I mean? But whatever. You do you, Christian Bale. You do you. But we talk a lot about the use of the music and the soundtrack of this. The single biggest cost in the film. This film had a $7 million budget, which even today is not a small chunk of change. But the single biggest cost of the film was purchasing the rights to the various songs used throughout.
That's
fair. Does this surprise you at all?
No, you're trying to name drop Phil Collins, which I still quote to this day. Every time I hear Phil Collins, I look over her. I'm like, you like Phil Collins? Yeah, you got Huey Lewis in the News, Whitney Houston. So, and using the songs too, I'm sure that's part. And what's his name? He was listening to it in the car when he's with Evelyn. Simply Irresistible.
Oh yeah. Oh crap! I can't remember now.
Is it?
I know what you're saying.
Robert Palmer.
I think so. No, maybe I can't remember.
I think it's Robert Palmer. I'm not about to lose my cred on this.
Go to the Google machine. No.
I was just literally listening to some of these songs before I got on here too, so that's embarrassing.
Dude, it's kind of. Besides the Whitney Houston name drops, he's got. I'm cool with his musical taste. It's. I'm not a huge Phil Collins guy, but can't you feel it coming in there tonight? Come on.
Yeah, it's Robert Palmer.
What are you going to do? So, I don't know. They made this in 99, 2000. all of those were hits in the mid to late 80s. How much do you think it would cost to license that music though? Because they play one of each of their songs, but I mean, I don't know how much a license fee is for that kind of stuff. I'm not for sure.
Actually, no, they played 2 Phil Collins songs, right?
Oh, they did, yeah.
Because they placed the studio after. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they placed the studio, and then
Yeah.
So okay, so 5 songs.
You got
4 or 5 songs. 2 Phil Collins, 1 Huey Lewis and the News, and Simply Yours. So 4 songs they play in the film. I wonder how much it actually costs for. I mean, I'm surprised they made this for $7 million. That's crazy.
Well, I guess to be fair, it wouldn't be too difficult because, like the surroundings. It's really just stuffy offices and guys in suits.
Well, hang on. Was this shot in New York City or somewhere else? Does it say on there?
Let me see.
Well, I was going to say when he's in the office.
No, it's filmed in Canada.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, cool. It's just saying because it's real expensive to shoot in New York. That's why everybody shoots in Toronto, and they just get B-roll for New York or whatever. But okay.
Because I was gonna say it's even funny something to mention that like when he's in the office confessing the crime, that window, that backdrop just almost looks comically kind of fake, like a news, like a night show host would have like a backdrop of.
Oh yeah, you can tell the stuff outside his window was a background.
Oh
yeah, so I'm like, that's even the thing that like in your head you're like, is he really doing this? What's going on? You know what I mean? It just looks like it's fake, but I think that's the point of it. You know.
I don't know.
Because all of a sudden, then you got the 3 stars in GTA, then all of a sudden he's got the helicopters running after him. I'm like, wait a minute now. No, wait a minute.
Right.
They would have stormed that building already, like Blues Brothers style, and got his ass.
Right.
He didn't just walk out of there. I'm like, no one answers that question. How do you just go back to work the next day? Well,
I have a little bit here about the music. I'll read this real quick. The soundtrack features licensed 1980s pop music from a variety of artists, including David Bowie, Phil Collins, The Cure, I love The Cure, Medieval Babies, New Order, and Eric B. and Rakim. Due to the film's controversial nature, obtaining the rights proved difficult, though the production was able to retain the rights to all necessary songs. Whitney Houston refused to allow the use of her performance of The Greatest Love of All, so an orchestral arrangement had to be used instead. The Huey Lewis and the News song "Hip to Be Square" appears in the film and was intended to be on the soundtrack album, but it was removed, forcing Koch Records to recall approximately 100,000 copies. Koch Records president Bob Frank said the removal was due to Huey Lewis objecting to the film's violence. But in 2013, Lewis said Frank's story was completely made up. Lewis's manager Bob Brown said the "Hip to Be Square" was included on the album without their permission, which he speculated was a publicity stunt. The original score, they're talking about the score alongside shot with Andy Warhol. Yeah, then the rest of it's about the score. Let's see. Cale was uninvolved with the selection, licensing, the music, and sound mixing. Though for one scene that Harron wanted to be unsettling, he suggested using animal noises like the tapes of rabbits screaming that the FBI used against the British Davidians in the Waco, Texas siege. The soundtrack album was released on April 4th of 2020. So I heard you say something about Whitney Houston earlier, and I remember I had read this when I was doing a little bit of research in the film. I wanted to read it again to make sure I had it right. But yes, she did actually refuse her performance of that song because of the nature of the film. Oh, Texas, does that surprise you at all?
Oh no, I don't think the Whitney Houston audience is probably going to rush out to an American Psycho film. I don't reckon that's the same kind of group. So I could see why there would be some controversy or whatever. But hey, I mean that whole thing about being a tactic to get attention, that's believable. I mean, oh hey, we're going to make a movie about a guy that chainsaws dead hookers, or hookers that are naked. Come listen to Michael Jackson or whatever. I could see there being a problem here, but I don't know. I think the only Whitney Houston, besides "I'll Always Love You" and her singing the national anthem, that's the only thing I've ever heard her sing. So, not quite a Whitney Houston fanboy. So, not my cup of tea, I reckon.
Tex does not own more than one Whitney Houston CD, is what we found out.
I do not. No. I don't even own a Phil Collins, but
Damn.
Well, I happen to like Whitney Houston and Phil Collins. So
Frank, we're gonna need to check your prescriptions and how many weapons you have. Okay, we're gonna need to get Jen to start watching out because you might be the next to snap. So
That's all right. No big deal. But moving on to the trivia, you want some casting news? Ewan McGregor was subsequently offered the role of Patrick Bateman, but declined after Christian Bale personally urged him to do so. Jeremy, look, a Ewan McGregor Patrick Bateman could have been kind of interesting, but I don't know if it would have been better than Christian Bale. Jeremy, do you think that would have worked out?
Considering this movie came out literally a year after Star Wars, I don't know if I'd see Obi-Wan Kenobi swinging an axe instead of a saber, so it'd be a little weird. I don't know. Although that's range. I mean, I don't know. He cut Darth Maul in half. I don't see why he wouldn't cut Jared Leto in half. So
true. Down the middle instead of across the hip. Yeah. I don't know. Tex, what do you think? Do you think Ewan McGregor could have pulled it off and made it good, made it memorable, like the way Christian Bale did?
Bale. Fuck no. This is Christian Bale's role. Nobody. This movie should never be remade because they're never going to do any better. Just leave. It's like Jaws and E.T. Leave it alone. Yeah, they perfected it.
I agree. I think it would have been weird. As much as I like Ewan McGregor, as much as I think he can kind of do any role that he wants and do it well, I think we're much better off getting the one that we got. Look, I mean, every now and again, you just hit the perfect casting. This was probably it. But, for those of you interested in that great three-way scene, to block the three-way scene with two prostitutes, co-writer and director Mary Harron and Christian Bale watched X-rated tapes. In her commentary, Harron says Bale made stick figure drawings of the positions he thought would work best.
Amazing.
Sure. Tex, what do you think?
It's called research.
When in the first three-way, you see like they're all kind of stacked up on top of one another. You get like a quick shot of them, and then the rest of the scenes are him looking at himself in the mirror. So, there's not a lot of nudity in this. You see boobs 3-4 times. Let's see, the blonde in the tub when he first picks her up. You get to see the call girl in the bed. That's the only open nipple you see in this film. Other than that, it's just like suggestive or just a quick shot. So, I mean, as somebody who could scope out nipples in a movie, like a machine, other than that, there's nothing else in here. So, I mean, yeah, they shoot around it pretty well, but even when he's having the three-way with the hookers, he's looking at himself. It's almost, it's like what do they call that? Asexual, when you're like sexual for yourself. I'm not sure what the term is. I can't remember it. It's almost like, let's see. It's almost like he is. The sex doesn't matter to him. He gets his ultimate pleasure from the killing and getting off on himself.
I guess
is what I'm trying to go for.
Just makes you a narcissistic asshole. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, he talks about make sure she's blonde, and I mean very, very blonde. And then when she shows up, oh, well, you're just a dirty blonde. I mean, it's just, and like I said, that's the narcissist that's in him. But, I mean, he's got two women stacked up on top of one another, and he could have a field day, and he's flexing his muscles and staring at himself.
Rachel said down there, I was going to say, I don't think it means any, I don't think sex actually interests anyone who's asexual. So, I was like, I don't think that's the right term. I know what you're saying. I'm like, he may just be, again, just an egotistical dick. And we don't have the other shot there. I'm like, the hilarious, all you see is just two legs of the hooker, and it's just him still just like pulling his hair back and like looking at himself and shit. And even like when he's just going with the one girl and the blonde that we've seen like twice, she just kind of like rolls over and he tells her like, "Hey, look at the camera." And she's like, just like waves and smiles and shit. And like, yeah, it's not really about that. It's just,
yeah, he was definitely into his own thing.
Just comes out and there's blood all over his mouth and face because he was like eating her and stabbing her and God knows what else. And then chainsaw scene happens. So that's not even real sexual either.
And you wonder what the hell he was, when he opens up the drawer and then you see him take out like the hanger and the other shit, and he's like, "Can we go?" And he's like, "We're not through."
We're not done yet.
Fuck.
Yeah, we're not done.
Like,
yet.
And then when you see her walk out, she's like, her nose is bloody and she's got like some scratches on her back. I was like, "Damn, what the fuck? Did he like beat them? What happened?"
Yeah, it's not about the actual physical sex for him. He seems like a Ted Bundy type that gets off on the kill, and the sex is just, a symptom of it almost. It's not even what he's going after. It's just, oh, while I'm there kind of thing or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, well, obviously it's weird, but there's a lot of meat on that conversation.
Yeah, no doubt.
A lot, yes.
Yeah.
But moving on to some more trivia from American Psycho. Let's see. There's a couple in here. There's a couple of good ones. The name the name Bateman is derived from the main character of the Psycho film franchise, Norman Bates. I mean, I got that, but I mean, whatever. I mean, whatever.
Hilariously, I am actually wearing a Batman shirt underneath this, so that may have been intentional, but maybe not.
In another bit of casting news, Leonardo DiCaprio was asking for $21 million to play the lead role, forcing the film's budget up to $40 million. When he quit and Christian Bale resumed the role, the budget went back down to a more reasonable $7 million. With a box office take in excess of $34 million, the film ended up being a financial success because they didn't give Leonardo DiCaprio the money that he wanted. Seriously, I mean, this was when Leo was still kind of young. This was after Titanic.
I was like, this is when he was
right after Titanic.
Big then. Yeah. That's why. I knew that had been a thing. I knew that Leo almost had the role, but I'm like, I don't know if I see it.
He almost had this, and he almost had Spider-Man too. I mean, he almost had a lot of things.
I think he works better as a narcissistic rich guy in Wolf of Wall Street. That works a lot better.
Yeah,
but like that may have been like some shades of like some American Psycho type shit. Maybe that's what that was about. But that's him like a little older. Like I could believe that. That makes more sense. Like
oddly enough, Wolf of Wall Street and American Psycho would be a great double feature, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's what I was talking about with Gloria Steinem. When Leonardo DiCaprio was still attached to the project, feminist activist Gloria Steinem lobbied him not to make the film, as his fan base consisted predominantly of young teenage girls and he could ruin his career. Steinem had spoken out about the novel several times and was against the film version in any incarnation. Her involvement is rendered especially interesting insofar as she would soon become Christian Bale's stepmother, as Steinem and Bale's father were dating at the time that Bale accepted the part. Bale later dismissed rumors that he specifically accepted the role to irk Steinem as unsubstantiated gossip.
That's the greatest F you
that is
ever.
insane.
That's the greatest F you ever. Oh yeah, future stepmom, you don't like this? I'm gonna go do it in front of you. And it ain't a boo boo.
Watch me do this. Watch me kill this hooker with a chainsaw.
Watch me kill the future Suicide Squad Joker with an axe. You ready? Hey, Mom. Hey, Paul. It'll work.
But let's see. Also, you were talking about The Mask a minute ago. I just had it here. What I do with it? Rather fortunately, at the beginning of the film, when Christian Bale pulls off his silicone mask, it comes off in one go in the first take. Mary Harron had previously agonized over the scene, worrying that the mask would break up when it was being pulled off. I actually don't think that would have mattered a whole lot if it would have not come off in one piece, because the metaphor is still there. I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
It is just nice. Just kind of satisfying to see the fact that it kind of just all came off in one big, that is the full metaphor you're going for, is that that's just like that thin veil he keeps over his face to, keep from, stabbing some dude in an alleyway and curb stomping his dog. So, fuck, there was something else I was going to say about it. I'll probably come back to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Tex, I mean, we talked about that a little earlier in the stream. I mean, what do you think about that scene?
Well, it really shows what matters to him, and it's himself. Nothing else matters. And, I mean, hell, how many creams do you use in the morning to exfoliate and clear your pores and do everything? I'd be willing to bet you're probably grab that bar of soap and wash off once and you're out for work for the day. So it really shows the shedding of skin when he's peeling that off. Like I said, he almost looks like he's what's his face from Harry Potter, the bad guy,
Voldemort.
Voldemort, yeah, he's got a very Voldemort-like look in that, and of course this was way pre-Harry Potter, but it's very similar the way that he kind of looks in that scene.
The first Harry Potter movie came out a year after this. It was 2001.
Was it that early? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't see Voldemort for a while, though. Not like in his true form, though.
No, like not until the 4th movie. But I know what you're saying.
Goblet of Fire.
Right. He looks very. He's very reptilian-like, very snake-like, and I think the peeling of the face is, it's a literal rejuvenation, not just of the skin and the pore, but of him. It's like every time he kills, he lets a little bit of that poison out. It's very. I don't know. It's cool.
I remember what I was going to say now. I never caught it because it happens so fast. Speaking of that, when he's in the Chinese laundry place, whatever the hell, and that woman comes in and starts talking to him and like, hey, let's go get lunch. He's like, oh, I can't. I got to go. He's like, yeah, I'll call you. Like he smiles, but then like at the last second, you watch him, his face will drop to like a cold, dead stare as soon as he walks out of the door. Like he just goes to him like, yeah, I'll call you. And just, it's so creepy. Like he freeze framed her right before he walked out the door. And I'm like, damn, he's like staring through her soul just for a split second. And I'm like, yeah, that's what that means. Like he said, he keeps that happy little face on. And then really inside, he's again, swinging axes and shooting the night guards, and janitor for no reason.
Yeah. See, another interesting piece of trivia that I found is that, let's see, some media jokingly described the film as an adaptation of a novel written by a misogynist. I got to keep you muted while you're not talking. Text me 1 second because I'm getting mad feedback from you. But let's see. Some media jokingly described the film as an adaptation of a novel written by a misogynist, Bret Easton Ellis, but directed by a feminist named Mary Harron. I actually think that's funny too because there was another piece. Let me go back up here and look at it. I wasn't going to read it, but I will because now I think it's kind of interesting. About the girl that was the last three-way, the girl that he kills in bed, that kind of sets off the whole chainsaw scene. Damn it, I scrolled past it.
Because isn't she?
She was I think she was the writer.
Yeah, like she's something about her. She was one of the writers, and she's like openly gay or something.
Yes, Patrick suggests to Elizabeth, the brunette at the end towards the end of the movie, to have sex with Christy. To which Elizabeth scoffs at the suggestion, asking why he thinks she'd be into lesbianism. Patrick responded that she went to Sarah Lawrence College. In real life, Guinevere Turner, who that was in the movie, who portrays Elizabeth, is also one of the writers of the film. She went to Sarah Lawrence College and is a lesbian. So
there was some meta, yeah.
So with all the hatred you could get from having that, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that to have a lesbian involved, to have a woman involved, it's like they're telling the story of this evil person. It makes sense. I don't know. Tex, did you even catch any of that?
Maybe this is better. I think my air conditioner was blowing in my phone. Sorry about that. That whole line, the whole lesbian line thing, the writing of it and everything else, that was that kind of felt kind of ham-fisted in there a little bit. But I don't know. That almost seemed like one of the things that if I were cutting this movie, I probably would have cut that line out. To be completely honest, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of comical, but if it wasn't there, whatever, you know what I mean?
I think it's a great in joke to the people who would smash this movie. For the people who would get pissed off about it, it's like, look, we have a lesbian, we have a feminist making this movie, telling the story about this guy who's the absolute asshole that we all know he is. We're not calling him the good guy in this movie. We're calling him the asshole. So and you've got these people who you think are being shit on by this guy actually helping us make the movie because they want you to see what kind of an asshole this way of thinking makes you look like. I mean, it made perfect sense to me. So I think the line actually works really well.
I think it's kind of funny. More aren't people, or shouldn't people have been more upset about the incest angle more than the lesbian angle? You know, like you're going to watch your fake cousin diddle somebody else. Isn't that a little weird? You know what I mean?
It wasn't real. He lied.
Right.
We all knew he was lying.
Right. Well, obviously, but you would think if it's lesbian or incest, you would be more mad about incest. But I guess people think differently. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, I think the other joke was that like this is in the late '80s. They didn't know shit about like how STDs worked and shit because he's like, I just want to see you two get it on. It's disease free, and it's like, no, dude, that's not how that works. That is kind of funny though. I'm like, oh yeah, you probably wouldn't really know about AIDS and all kinds of STDs and shit at that time, so makes it kind of fun.
Well, and that line about it's disease free, that has to be a call out to AIDS in the 80s. That's got to be what that is, right?
Well, this movie was based in '87. So makes sense.
Yeah, it's like late '80s, so you're getting there, yeah.
Right.
Let's see. We all like Dexter. In Dexter Morgan uses Patrick Bateman's name as an alias to obtain M99 to incapacitate his victims. Both characters notably share some similarities in terms of each being serial killers who live double lives. I didn't watch this new season of whatever the hell came on Showtime or whatever it was. I haven't watched it all yet, but I've watched all of Dexter from the first episode to the last. The
new season starts out great, ends horrible, just like the first time with the show. Don't waste your time.
Unfortunate. But did you guys notice that all of the business cards say vice president?
Yeah.
Let me put the thumbnail back up real quick. I'm actually really glad that I found this on the internet because I was looking around for something good to use for the thumbnail and I spotted this and I was like, holy shit, that's if you've seen the movie, you get it.
Yeah.
you totally get it. Yeah, I think that's a lot of fun.
Also, isn't it something on the cars is like misspelled too or something? Like there's something about the cars. It's either the Pearson Pierce or something spelled wrong, and that's what makes it kind of funny that you're like you don't even notice it. It's like they don't notice it, and they don't even care. That's kind of the joke.
I
like,
read something about that on the trivia on IMDb about something being spelled wrong. I think it might have been the Pierce. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's Pearson Pierce is spelled wrong or something. But yeah, that's just another layer of the fact that they don't even pay attention to the damn cards as much as they apparently seem to matter. So,
well, I remember when I was a kid, my dad had gotten an office job at the company he worked for. And the first time he got business cards, he was kind of stoked about it because you have to be important to have business cards. I mean, I don't have business cards.
I'll say right down there. Put that up there. Rachel's got a business card. Boom. I don't.
Yeah,
so.
I don't. I've never had a business card for anything, but whatever. I don't know. The Tex, what do you think? I don't know. Did you notice that the business cards, everybody's a vice president also?
Well, the card scene, that's one of those. Well, I mean, card scene. There's multiples. It's one of those deals where you really need to, like, each time one goes by, pause. And actually, I'm sure Jeremy's done this because every time I watch it, I do it. I pause to see, because obviously he's saying, "Oh, this one's eggshell, this one's bone, no, this one has raised lettering." I study these things like it's like I'm in that room because that's the way the mood kind of puts you into. And to be fair, I take that back. I had a business card once, and I don't even know why I had it. I think I got it for free or something. I'm not for sure, but it's the little, oh, this is eggshell, this is bone, this is raised, this is everything else. It tells you everything you need to know about the film because it doesn't matter. And if that sets you off, then we just need to call the men in white coats now. And that's what's so funny about it is a 1x2 piece of paper causes you to kill people. We need to not have you here anymore. You know what I mean?
Also, isn't another fun piece of trivia? Isn't the font on Patrick Bateman's card the same font as the title card on the American Psycho on the title screen?
I don't know. I didn't look that closely at it.
I think the American Psycho title card in the beginning of the movie is the same font on his card. I think that's what that is.
Well, and see, okay, since we're talking about the card thing is interesting, and it kind of plays into who is who, because they do this whole card passing around thing. We don't know who has whose card. That's the only way that we know, who they say who is. And like in the beginning of the film, when Paul Allen, Jared Leto, comes into the meeting, to the office meeting there, and he sits and he's standing next to Patrick Bateman. You don't see his card. And when he walks out of the room, he talks about the plans that Patrick Bateman had the night before, 8:30 at that one restaurant. I can't remember the name of it. Dorcia. He literally has the same plans that Patrick Bateman just had. So we don't. Who is that guy? You know, even though we're pointed at in the beginning, oh, this is Paul Allen, this is that person, that person. That whole card game plays right into it, and there's clues in all of that. You know, you can. That's why this is so interesting, because you can play around with this thing, and there's just so much to look into. That's why it's a cult classic.
Because people meme that scene to death. There's a funny one that's like it hits me because like instead of the business cards, they're all pulling out like different Pokemon cards. It's like, yeah, you on the playground. This is how you imagine you feel when you're showing somebody your new shiny Charizard. You know what I mean? That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah, I want to move on to some of the more spoilery bits of trivia now. Let's see. Christian Bale's moonwalk with the axe when he was about to murder one of his colleagues was improvised, and it actually drove the director a little batty until she saw it on camera. And she was like, "Okay, we'll go and keep it in." Not
even his little jig before he goes to go up to the axe. Like, come on, the moonwalk when you walk out is what got you.
Yeah, actually, on the subject of that moonwalk, the only parts of the movie that the author, Bret Easton Ellis, didn't like was Bateman's moonwalk during the Paul Allen murder scene and the voiceover, which he felt was too explicit. I actually like him. I don't know. Tex, do you think there was something wrong with that?
Oh, I think that seems perfect in every way. I mean, from, the whole point at the radio with two fingers, talking about the music, going, oh, is that a raincoat? The whole way everything's done, to the hey Paul, and then whack, and then it's just that scene is perfection. I couldn't see it without the moonwalk, without the little, kind of Trump looking dance like he does whenever he's going the first time. I think that scene's perfect. I would have shot it exactly that way.
Yeah, even though I don't really like the way the chainsaw scene played out at the end, I don't think there is a scene in this movie that doesn't fit. You know what I mean? Because like I said, as goofy as it was, I could totally see him taking out a chainsaw and trying to hack up a hooker. That's because he's psychotic. The guy's mentally broken. So that makes perfect sense. But there's not a single scene in this movie that I'm like, I think this slows the movie down, or I think it's not in tune with what the character is or the world that he occupies. There isn't really a scene like that. So I disagree with Ellis on that particular point. But I do like the fact that, look, the whole moonwalking thing, for all of his mental problems, Bateman is kind of he's a happy-go-lucky serial killer when he's doing what he enjoys. So when he's in the act of killing, that's his comfort zone. So why wouldn't he be a little chipper? You know what I mean? I think that kind of makes sense. Tex, do you agree?
Oh, 100%. He's, like I said, he doesn't even care about sex with two women at the same time. He gets his rocks off by cutting up the women. He likes the blood, he likes the gore, he likes the violence. I get that. And that's all it's about. I guess you could technically call him a product killer because he does keep body parts and whatever. But that's the only thing about this movie is they don't nail down his MO. He's all over the place. He kills sporadically different every time. He should have had an MO if I would have done it. Make it more realistic. But he's in it for the kill, not the product, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That makes sense. Let's see, another couple pieces of trivia about this. Let's see. Patrick Bateman, played by Christian Bale, spends 40% of the film either shirtless, in his underwear, or naked.
Yeah.
To the point that Tex was making earlier, it's like for all the the two scenes where he has three ways, and for all the gratuitous whatever violence and blood, you got a couple of titty shots in the movie, and that's it. I mean, I've seen way more like boobs from like an 80s teen comedy than was in this. There's probably like that shot early in the movie where he's talking about his skincare regimen and all that stuff. When it has that slow zooming in shot of him in the shower, you probably spend more time on his ass, on his bare ass in that one shot than you get of total time of seeing any girl's nipples. So I mean, so is there really all that much nudity? I mean, Jeremy, am I wrong?
No, and I mean, you even see, well, this may be because I have the uncut version, but like when she's flipping through the book at the end, you see some drawings of like chainsaws being put in some very not nice places, and you see torsos of stuff. But like, as far as actual nudity like that, no, not really.
Yeah, I mean, well, I say nudity, I don't think about drawings of a girl's boobs or something like that.
But it's in the book. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people would count it and they would blur it if it was on TV, but I don't know. In terms of actual skin that you're seeing in this movie, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you the question, Tex. Did you spend as much time watching Christian Bale's bare ass in the shower as you did scoping for the nipples?
No. See, the way that my 1800 Skynet system works, and when I see female nudity, we zoom in, record, take as many mental notes as possible. When we see male nudity, we just blur it out like it's not even there, whether that's a Watchmen or American Psycho, because we just don't need that in our life. So my programming just edits that out. It's actually pretty convenient. So
yeah, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but there's only 3 characters in the movie that unknowingly escape Bateman's attempted murderous attacks. You have Lewis Carruthers in the bathroom, you have Jean, his secretary, and the kitten. Don't kill the kitten. We all saw what happened with John Wick's dog. Don't kill the kitten. Tex, were you okay with the kitten surviving?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, good.
I don't think he heard. I didn't even hear what you said.
Yeah, no. Say it again, please.
No, I said, were you okay with the kitten surviving?
I kind of felt like the kitten should have died.
Damn.
Oh, I mean, think about it. This dude is completely off of his rocker. He makes no bones about anything. He
makes a lot of bones out of a lot of stuff.
But he shoots the old lady. It would have hit. This guy's a tornado in a trailer park. He's going to kill anything and everything. He doesn't care. Yeah. I think the cat should have died. The whole, thing with the guy in the bathroom, he ended up being a gay, and that was a whole scene in and of itself. But then the secretary, like I said, I think the secretary is different because I think that was his center. That's where he went to. He was at peace with her. We'll go back and watch the scenes where he's in the office with her. He's a different version of him.
And I think she actually talks to him, not like just blabbing about dinner.
Right. Like I said, with her, it's special. However he looks at her, that's up for interpretation. But that secretary role, I think that's his rock. I really and truly do. But no, fuck that cat. Kill it. I hate cats. I'm allergic. So.
I had one on here that I wanted to go back to and I forgot it. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Actually, and another small piece of casting news that I have here, and I'll read this while I'm trying to look for something else. Director Mary Harron and Christian Bale unsuccessfully tried to convince Winona Ryder to play Evelyn Williams. I mean, Winona Ryder was pretty popular at the time still. I mean, that was before her career started to take a little bit of dip, and then, of course, she had her resurgence. I don't know. Do you think that would have been a good casting move, Jay?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like when you compare like Winona Ryder to Reese Witherspoon, it's like there's two, like they just seem like two opposite kind of people. I don't see her trying to play like I'm not saying she couldn't. I'm just saying like I don't see her being like that kind of oblivious. Like she is very kind of mildly bubbly and just kind of casually carrying a potbelly pig around at Christmas. But I don't know. She seems like she kind of fits into that role of like, I don't know, you kind of expect someone like her to be around these kind of guys. Like if you look at like the guy or the girl that Bateman was having the affair with, I'm like, all these, the people that they're around, like the circle of friends are in, I'm like, I kind of believe that that's where it would end up. I don't know. She might seem a little too out there to be, I don't know. It'd be like if you said, hey, let's put Helena Bonham Carter as Evelyn. I'm like, no, that doesn't work.
Well, I mean,
she'd be trying to out-weird him. Like, no.
I'll disagree with that a little bit because I've seen, you bring up Helena Bonham Carter. I've also seen Helena Bonham Carter play Princess Margaret. And and she's a royal. She's someone who grew up in opulence. She did play the angst of Princess Margaret while still playing a very regal, put together kind of presence. So I think that Winona Ryder could have played a decent version of it. Would she have played a version that would have been better? It's hard to say. I mean, we'll never really know until we get her on a camera in that situation with those exact actors doing whatever. So it's hard to know for sure. But I mean, would it have been a different kind of role? Yeah, but would it have been bad? I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. Tex, what do you think? Do you think Winona Ryder could have done anything differently as Evelyn, the role that would end up going to Reese Witherspoon?
I don't think so. I don't think she was needed. To be honest, Reese Witherspoon was not even a. That could have been just, random actress thrown into it, and it wouldn't have mattered. The everybody around Christian Bale, they don't matter to it. He's the only one that matters. He's the star. That's why he's in every scene in this movie. So you could put, extras around him and just have him do his thing. You're the only one that he's looking at. So I mean, who, Reese Witherspoon, went on a rider. To me, it's 6 or a half dozen the other. It don't really matter.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what we ended up getting talent-wise in the movie. And to top it all off, the role that Reese Witherspoon, say that 5 times real fast, the role that she plays is, while significant to the Bateman character, is not really significant to the movie. So it's like if you think about it, if you went and cut all of those scenes out, you probably wouldn't have affected the outcome of the film at all. So, I mean, would it really have mattered if you'd have had her or you could have gotten Joan Collins in there for all anybody would have cared? Somebody with a whole lot of acting experience and who was already kind of a legend at that point in time. It wouldn't have mattered so much. So I don't think it really would have mattered. But here's one for you, Tex. You might want to get a pen and a paper and write this down. The first porn movie Bateman was watching was called White Angel from 1998. And the second was called The Red Vibe Diaries, Object of Desire from 1997. Did you get that text, or are you going to need to go back later on and kind of replay the stream so you can get those?
I got that on my record. Now, does Texas Chainsaw count as a porno? Because I happen to enjoy that one a lot too.
For Bateman,
I'm asking for a friend. Like I said, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for a friend, of course. But it was. Who casually watches porn? To me, that's kind of odd. But hey,
a whatever broken man who carves people up in his living room.
Allegedly.
Yeah, but even in a weird way, I can almost understand the dude that carves up innocent folks over the guy that just casually watches porno in a weird way. I don't know what that says about me, but it is what it is.
I mean, I'm not gonna go out and do 1,000 crunches to text on the background. I mean,
right. I mean, as much as I love Sally Hardesty, screaming at the back of that pickup as Leatherface is chasing her down, that's not what I work out to or I exercise to. That's but hey, each their own, I guess.
Fair enough. A couple more quick pieces of trivia. I don't know, Jeremy. I'm going to put the body count at 11.5. Jeremy, I want to tell you if it was plus or minus that
for this movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really fair because I do watch the kill count religiously, and I have watched their episode of this. So I'm like, I don't remember exactly what they came up with, but I'm like, but at the end, they're like, allegedly he did. I'm like, I don't fucking know. That was also the first time his wife actually hosted the show, and she did the whole she wore the suit and tie and rain jacket. I'm like, okay, that's hilarious. I don't remember what she said. You said you're gonna put 11.
I'll set the over under at 11.5.
So we're playing.
It can't be a tie.
Are we playing The Price is Right?
Sort of, sure.
Because I'll be that dick who bids $1, and I was like, I'll get it. 11. Hold on. Do animals count? Is that what your half is, or?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the kill count right here. It doesn't specifically say if the animals count. So
all right. Well, if we're going for human kills, alleged human kills, give me a second. Do you want me to give it my guess? I'll say I'll say 8.
So you're taking the under and you're saying 8. Okay.
I tried to zip through the movie real fast. I think it's 8. I don't know.
Now, this is assuming, of course, that he did actually kill everybody that it shows in the movie.
No,
it's not all.
Shit, nine. I forgot about the blonde.
Okay.
Yeah, see the blonde.
Okay.
I don't even know which blonde. 9.
Well, he had a picture of blonde, so there could have been any of them. Okay, now Tex, I'll go to you. I'm setting the over under at 11.5. Do you take the over or the under, and how many kills do you think are in this movie?
No, Jeremy's right. It's under. You got the cat, homeless guy, Paul, the model that he picks up. You've got the blonde hooker, the call girl that he calls, the woman in the suit that talks about, him and Whitney Houston. So that's 7. The janitor is 8. The cops, actually, no, if you count the cops, it's over. So I'm going to go over.
I think he might be, because I guessed like 2 cops. The guy,
no, there was at least 4 cops because there was 2 in each car, so it's over.
Actually, you should no. You forgot about the woman at the crosswalk. We assume she
and
died.
The woman so yes, oh that's 12. So yeah, it's over. It's over.
Maybe it's
yeah.
Okay, the official body count is 12 according to the
IMDb.com.
But it also says in a parenthetical, it says it's implied to possibly up to 50 or more. So, but
maybe
the official
40
body count
50 people.
Yeah, maybe 20, maybe 40. I don't know. I've killed a lot of people tonight. But the official body count for the film, the people that we see dying, according to IMDb, is 12. So I don't know. That's not too terrible. It's actually more than Joker, and they said Joker was an ultra violent movie, of which there's 2 violent scenes in the entire movie. So take
it is violent, but
it is violent. But now, one more piece of trivia.
It's like Texas Chainsaw. You actually only ever see one person die, which is Franklin in the chair, and you don't even really see it. You just get the illusion that he's cutting him apart with a chainsaw. I'm like, yeah, it's not an overly violent movie, but.
Now, one more piece of trivia we'll go into, and this, Jeremy's talked about this a couple times already. The film stars both Christian Bale and Jared Leto, who each ended up portraying DC characters. Bale would later go on to star as Bruce Wayne or Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy, and Leto would later appear as the Joker in the Suicide Squad. Interestingly, Batman has a no-killing policy where the Joker kills without remorse, yet fans humorously point out how in this film, Batman kills the Joker.
Yeah. I love that joke so much. That's great.
There is a weird symmetry that kind of happens over time, because as this movie is being made, Christian Bale and Jared Leto can have no indication that 25-ish years later they would have been in DC movies, and one would have been playing Batman, one would have been playing the Joker, albeit separately, but still, those 2 characters are forever entangled. I don't know, Tex, are you as amused by that as people like me and Jeremy are?
Oh, I think it's hilarious. I've always thought, like I said it on here, Christian Bale could have been a great Joker. I mean, I said it earlier tonight. It's, it's kind of, odd that or I guess ironic is more the right word, but I mean, it's just comical humor for comic nerds. I mean, it's always been that
way. Yeah, going over stuff to see if any of the spoilery stuff sounds. A lot of stuff just too long to go into, but yeah, I mean, that seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. I think we've talked about this plenty, but I mean, let's go look at the poll real quick before we get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. 12 of you have voted. Thank you very much for your interaction on that one. And after it comes up, 66% of you said that you thought the movie was great. 16% of you thought it was okay. Nobody thought it was poop, which is very good. And Casey voted exactly where I wanted Casey to vote. He said, "My name is Casey, and I have no leader." So thank you guys very much for voting. We very much appreciate it. I have to think of something
accurate poll.
An accurate poll, to say the least. But I don't know. Final thoughts. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Any final thoughts? Just give me a paragraph to wrap up your thoughts on American Psycho.
It's just like I would say with any movie. Don't necessarily listen to the critics or whatever the people say. You know what? If you enjoy the movie, you enjoy the movie. And I'm in that camp of, like I said, I didn't even actually. I think I had a revelation about an hour before we came on here. I was like, oh shit, I didn't watch the movie. I'm like, I don't need to. I've seen this so many times. I know it by heart. Maybe I'm a psychopath for being that way myself. I don't know. But I enjoy this movie because, as me and Tex said down there, there's so many ways you can think of this movie, so many different angles, and it's fun to just keep watching it and try to think of it something different. And I don't know, try and figure it out for yourself, or make up whatever narrative you come to, whatever conclusion you come to. Did it mean nothing in the end, or did he really do this? Did he not? it's a movie that, again, it does have rewatchability because it will keep you guessing. And it's just, there are things I didn't even mention that I'm like, that just kind of happened like that. Like I said, like he casually opens his fridge door and there's a woman's head and he just picks up the ice cream. Like, yeah. Anyway, do you want to scoop? The fuck? So, no, it's a fun movie, killer soundtrack. And, it's forever. I can't listen to Huey Lewis in the News and I can't not see him just swinging an axe at Jared Leto's face. It's just too much damn fun. I can't do it.
Yeah, if you follow Jeremy on Twitter, I think that he's got easier access than I do. I know he was putting it in our chat room the other day about the Huey Lewis alternate scene where they've actually put him in the suit and the raincoat and have him pointing to the stereo and talking about whatever. It's a Weird Al Yankovic thing. It was done for what was it done for? I forget the TV show it was done for.
Funny or Die. It was.
Yeah, Funny or Die. That was it.
Yeah.
But Tex, I'll go to you next. Final wrap up, just a quick paragraph of what you thought of the movie.
Tremendous film. Christian Bale's best to date. It's a thinker of a movie.
1 second.
Take your time, sit down, pay attention to everything on the screen, every facial feature, if something even tiny stands out, pay attention to it. Make note of it. Watch this multiple times. Watch it, let it kind of simmer and come back to it in a day or two. This isn't the goriest film. Oddly, but it's violent enough. And I think it's a tremendous film.
Yeah, I think that what it satires about society is never really going to change, especially in that line of work. The whole Wall Street, expensive suit, slick back hair, fancy pants asshole. That world is probably never really going to change. It's going to alter and evolve over time, but that satire is never going to get old. Making fun of people in that line of work. Like one of the things I like about the credit card scene, it just occurred to me, is I was reading last night that as they were going through the scene where they were comparing their business cards, the sound effect that was playing was a slowed down version of a sword being pulled from its sheath.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about it last night. I was like, that makes sense because that's kind of their sword in this weird world that they exist in. It's like their weapon is their business card. So when they're opening up those fancy little cases and pulling out a business card, that's kind of what they're doing. It's a comparable thing. So, and that's never going to change. But then you throw in that added little factor of, oh yeah, you're dealing with a psychopath who likes to fucking hack women up and stab homeless guys and curb stomp their dogs, and he's one of those people that gets off on killing. He gets off on all the things that you shouldn't be getting off on. So treating people like, because the book, from what I've read the book, but in the book he is way more anti-Semitic, way more homophobic, way more misogynistic, and they intentionally turned it down for the movie so they wouldn't piss off the ratings people.
There's something about a rat going into a very private place of a woman, and that's all I will say about the book.
Yeah, I have not read the book, but in doing some research for trivia and stuff for the film, I've read that the book was actually very, very crazy.
It's very graphic.
Clockwork Orange, which was toned down quite a bit for the movie version back in the 70s with Roddy McDowall too. So I mean, yeah, it is a very interesting movie to watch. The satire on that culture hasn't changed. It doesn't get old. It still exists today. It's just not as talked about today. The yuppies still exist. They're just not in the forefront of society anymore.
No, they're at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Not too soon.
Eh.
Too soon for some, not for others. But yeah, overall, I mean, I can't knock any of their performances. I think they're fantastic. Christian Bale carries this film in a way that I don't think anybody else could. And it does. I wish it would have been more slasher and less comedy. I did find myself laughing at parts that I wanted to be kind of blown away by, but it doesn't take away from the movie overall. It is still very, very good. I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be one of the 2 or 3 films that Christian Bale is going to be remembered for, especially by real cinephiles who are going to see a lot of his work over time. I think it's every bit as good as what he did with Batman, every bit as good as what he's done with some other stuff. I love The Prestige. We talked about that earlier. I think that was a great acting job by him as well. And but I think this movie is probably a little bit better because it was such a complicated character. It's really easy to play a good guy. It's really hard to play a convincing bad guy, because to be a good guy, all you got to do is go out there, puff your chest out, and be like, "I'm the good guy," and then it's an easier sell. To be a bad guy, it's so much harder. And when you can play a good bad guy, you're a hell of an actor. Look at Nicholson. Jack Nicholson made a career on playing a bad guy. And I mean, it just comes for some reason it came naturally to him, to the way that he portrayed all the characters, the Joker being one of them, of course. And I think he does that exactly in this movie as well. What are you saying, Jay?
I was gonna say I previously had somebody that I'd been involved with in my high school years who was a huge fan of Christian Bale's. So I've seen a lot of his movies that like I'd never even heard of. So you want to talk about this guy having range? I mean, holy shit! And I was trying to remember what the hell it was called. We were talking about like we spend more time looking at Christian Bale's ass than anything else. And I was like, wait, there is a movie that has his dick in it. And I was trying to remember what it was called. I got it. I was trying to remember what it was called. It was actually before this movie called Metroland. It's actually free on YouTube, hilariously enough. Came out in '97, so it was right just before this movie started. So if you want to know that fun fact, that you actually full frontal, but it's in like Paris, so that's their whole thing. That's nudity doesn't mean shit to them, or it does to a point where it's like it's normal. It's a really melodramatic story, but I mean it's still fun.
Yeah, Tex just wrote Metroland next to those two porns. But
because he's out here looking for that.
Yeah, that's some of that fake news right there.
It's not fake. I saw it. I saw that movie.
Oh no, not your part. Frank's nonsense lies he's trying to throw out. But hey, he can imagine whatever he needs to.
I read that on CNN. But we're going to go. But yeah, thanks guys for coming and checking out the review. We very much appreciate it. We're going to get out of here now. Thanks to my amazing co-host, starting with my hetero life mate Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you on the internet?
I'm here, and I'm here at least most of the time, all the time. I don't know. And yeah, so whenever we do reviews for shows, movies, stuff like this, retro reviews, whenever the writer strike decides to stop, we might actually get back to normal, but that might still take some time. So we have plenty to talk about. I mean, like that was the point of the show. It's like we can talk about things that are current or things that are coming up, things that are new. But the point is, like I think Frank even always says it. Go back and watch some of these older movies. Like that's the fun of it. Just you might find something you like. Like I said, I watch this movie quite often, and take that how you will. Good friend of mine, Brooding Gamers down there. Sometimes I'm hanging around on his stuff. So again, if you like dinosaurs, like Jurassic Park, everything like that, that's what he's about. And I'm his. He dresses up like Alan Grant. I'm like his resident Ian Malcolm. So I mean, if you're into that, that's what I do. That's what I do there. And I'm a lazy content creator, so I don't really do shit. But there's some single player games that I want to go back on. It's the same thing with watching movies. Like I'll go back and play some of these old games just because they're fun. So I don't know. I'm on Twitter. There's the name right there. I have a YouTube with absolutely nothing on it. Same name. And someone stole my name on TikTok. So there's a little underscore between the Tuesday and 23 because some bastard took my name and doesn't even do anything with it. He actually doesn't do anything with it. I've done stuff like 5 years ago, but shut up. At least I did something. So that's me.
Yeah, damn it. Do something with that name or give it to Jeremy.
I've had it since I was 14, damn it. I should have rights to it by this point. Good Lord.
But you know what you should do eventually is you should go ahead and get the domain name grimtuesday13.com just to make sure you have it in your back pocket.
Yeah. It's funny because actually on the Facebook page I made for it, I don't know how I did it, but I accidentally clicked it as it's labeled as a business. And I'm like, well, shit, no, it's not. And I don't know how to change it. So I'm like,
What does Facebook know anyway?
I know. Maybe I should just feed the machine is what I'm saying. I did that by accident, but might as well grab it while I can.
And of course, our good friend from down south, the shape for the Lone Star State, our man Tex. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
He's in the void, is where he's at.
He's in the void.
Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. I've been talking like an idiot, and I was talking to myself. So, no, I was going to say I'm here, and I talk horror movies. Hi, I'm Tex. If you don't know me already, that's kind of my thing. Yeah, I like boobs, scary movies, and blood and gore. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I'm here. So about it.
And of course, you can find me here a couple times a week doing reviews for some new movies, also some retro reviews. Next week coming up, at some point in the next few days, I want to try to get the guys together so we can break down episode 2 of Secret Invasion. Also, I did get a chance to see Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny today. I'll be putting up my short review of that later on tonight. So you can look forward to us giving you guys our breakdown of that movie whenever we can all get around to seeing it. We get that scheduled, and then of course next week we'll have another retro movie review that we're going to be doing. So, and then of course coming up here in the next here about a month we're going to be getting Oppenheimer. I know me and Jeremy are looking forward to that one big time. I saw another trailer today before Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Destiny. I was like, I was ready. Bring me that movie.
I did too. And speaking of which, there was a new trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's, and holy balls, dude. I mean, if we want to talk about some new trailers, just as a quick, maybe sneak it in with Secret Invasion or something, because there's a lot. You were talking about pausing every other damn frame. We were pausing every frame of that fucking trailer, trying to see every little bit of it. Whew! That's gonna be a fun movie.
Yeah, there's a couple of big. Another trailer for Dune Part 2 came out yesterday, I believe, as well.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah,
I just watched that trailer today for the first time. That I'm ready for that movie as well. Just bring that movie on. That doesn't come out until November. So
we're gonna be called Ant-Man Trailer Mania. That's gonna be our next episode.
Probably. There's a few trailers that we need to discuss. But thank you guys very much for coming and hang out with us. Very much appreciate it. We will see you guys on the next stream. Again, thank you for coming out. You guys kick ass. We'll see you guys later on. Until then, I have to go turn some video things. See you later. I mean, come on.
So, what would you put on your business card? What color? What font?
Hooker blood. Hooker blood red is what I
want to make business cards for the channel that look just like
God.
that with like some blood on it.
That'd be some good marketing. Yeah.
To kind of advertise the channel. I think I may have to put those together.
Ooh.
I may have to do that. That's gonna be pretty.
I'm willing to.
We should film a commercial for it where we reenact that scene at the table.
We should.
I mean, I will chop up Casey for that blood we can use for ink if we need to. So.
That's an option.
He contributed to the